with it.
I'll never forget the day that you were talking about the fact that toe walking is a visual stimulation thing.
Yeah,
And I was
that's
like,
so
what?
interesting. Yeah.
I remember going, my head just exploded because that would never have occurred to me.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
yet it is.
Well, I mean, there's lots of experiments that have been published where you put these prism glasses on kids that toe walk, and they immediately stop toe walking just because now they see things quite differently.
Yep.
But there's other theories about toe walking that are also very interesting.
Very interesting. We're getting a bunch of questions, but we've got our guest waiting.
Oh,
we want
wonderful.
to introduce the fabulous Christina Adams. She's an award-winning journalist, an author. She, as I said before,
Public speaker.
Oh man, speaks around the world. Her
Yes.
first book, A Real Boy, changed my life as it changed so many other people's lives. And her second book, Camel Crazy, she goes and speaks around the world
Yes.
about camel milk at so many different, governments ask her to come and speak. It's
right.
amazing how her life has turned out. I consider her a friend, and I think you consider
I
her
do
a friend
too,
as well.
and amazed at her, honestly.
She's just a light on this planet. So let's get her in here so that you guys can meet her. We love her. Christina Adams, are you there?
Good morning, my friends.
We're pausing. She was there. Perhaps she got tired of waiting.
So no, we can. I wanted to say. Oh, there she is.
There she
Hi,
is.
Christina. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
She can hear us, but we can't.
We can't
hear
hear
yet.
her, Trayvon.
So we'll get that taken
Yeah,
care
I'm
of.
here.
In the
Here.
meantime, yes, people are applauding, saying Christina's here. It's wonderful. In the meantime, we're going to keep the questions you guys are writing in. Can we hear Christina yet? They're working on her sound.
Okay, yeah, and I
Should I
know
go to another
Christina's done a lot of work also in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia.
Oh
I'm
my
kind of
gosh.
really interested in hearing more about the things that she's done.
Okay, try now, Christina.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
Great. Hi, my friends. It's wonderful to see you and to be
I'm
with this
hugging you.
engaged audience. You can tell already. Wow.
Yes. So very fun. And you look beautiful.
As
Oh, gosh.
always.
Thank you. It's so early here. I'm just lucky to be upright here.
For me, it's the middle of the day. I
Yes.
don't know what you're talking about. Christina, we're excited that you're here with us, and we were just saying about how you are up to many things lately. You travel the world and go all kinds of places. I guess I'm wondering either where are you going next, or where have you just come back from?
Well, goodness, yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. And you two mean the world to me. You're amazing. You're both been a gift to this community that Doreen was in before us, and then me, and then you. So it's great to be with you. And we always appreciate what Doreen has done for everyone, and now Shannon as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. And as far as me, so I've been doing, yes, a lot of speaking lately. I've done 2 in India, one for in Gujarat for the community of Maldharis, who are pastoralist people who keep camels, and the camel milk is becoming more in demand for the autistic children population and other people. And another one in India, and then I've done one in Algeria, and then I just finished one in Pakistan for a dairy conference because they're trying to grow their dairy industry to benefit the vulnerables, as they say. And these are the pastoralist people who keep their livestock, and then also people like children with autism. And Pakistan has at least 400,000 people with autism, according to their survey. So it's a global issue, my friends.
Amazing. That's incredible. I don't know how you managed to do all this, honestly, because you are also, of course, a parent yourself, and you just travel all over the world. It's incredible. Before we got you on, I was just telling Shannon how amazed I am at all the stuff that you've done also in Saudi Arabia, where I'm very focused on trying to help them as well right now.
Well, that's great. I did have a wonderful trip there last year, and I was so fortunate to be invited for the camel issue. And then also I met some amazing people, including Princess Samira Al Saud, and she runs a wonderful operation for children with autism. She also helps people with schizophrenia as well. She is public about her own children's challenges. She's an amazing woman. So I was really lucky to see some of the schools, meet a lot of the parents, and do some lecturing there. And it's really always great to see countries starting to come forward to serve their populations with autism and related disorders. And it's a global issue now. And again, I am struck, as you already know, Doreen, and you as well, Shannon. But I'm struck because repeatedly we see that families in the same situation want the same things. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
where they're from, what their faith is, what their economic status is. We all want the same things for our children, and it's just a beautiful thing to be part of it.
For people who don't know you and aren't familiar with either of your books, but especially the first one, tell them a little bit about how autism came to be a part of your life and maybe how you met Dr. Graham Pichet.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is definitely OG talk, right? We're the OGs now of this kind of thing. So I was a new mom, and I was living in Orange County, California, and I just finished my graduate degree in writing. I already had a career in aerospace and journalism and government and such. So anyway, my son, I just finished graduate school, and I was about to do my artistic endeavors and write my, novel, which I already had done. And but I didn't get it published yet. So then, boom, autism enters, and that's because of child getting kicked out of school, preschool, and all those things we all go through. And I was lucky. Some of the moms in my neighborhoods were real pioneers of this at the time, and they said, "Look, don't waste your time. Get a lawyer and deal with the school district." I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And then get CARD, get Doreen Graham Pichet. Don't waste time. Do it. And so I did reach out, and I met you, Doreen, back when you were in the little blue building near the freeway up in the valley.
Yeah.
And walking into that office, I was emotionally devastated at the time. I didn't know what to expect. You're filled with fear. And, meeting you, I was like, oh my, she looks so young. And I could say the same thing right now. But you're afraid. You're like, can this person help me? Can this person help my child? What are we going to do? And so then I started running the full-on program in my home. Back then we had it in our home, and then we'd send the shadows to school when he was ready to go to preschool. After 6 months of diet and ABA, he was ready to go back to preschool and not get kicked out, even though he had an aide. But that's fine. This is the normal progression. Now it's a new way of parenting. So we just have to go with what our children need. And so then, luckily by the age of 5, my son passed a kindergarten readiness test undetected by an expert with 30 years of experience. She didn't know he had autism, and he was doing great. But then after that, I knew he still had weaknesses, and this is very common with our kids. And I had the idea that camel milk might help his autism symptoms, because removing dairy and other things in the diet was very important, which I discuss in A Real Boy. As long as also I did ABA, discussing that book too, and Doreen's, expertise. So then I flew in the camel milk from Bedouins in the desert. He got better overnight from a serving of it, and it was just set me on this amazing journey. And now I write and lecture about it. And the camel milk helps children and adults with various disorders, not just autism, around the world.
Christina has invited. I know I keep saying somebody needs to make the movie of your life, because it's got so many twists and turns. And as Christina keeps inviting me, and I really want to go, because I sort of super love camels ever since I was a child.
Okay,
I thought the camels were really cool. They spit. I don't know why I think that's cool. I don't ask me to explain it, but I've always loved camels. And there's a dairy farm, a camel dairy farm, not far from here, that we keep saying we're going to go to, but we're going to do it, Christina. I'm done talking about it. I want to go hug camels with you.
Okay, listen, you've got camels more around you than you think. There's one in the valley. It's not a dairy, but it's not that far from you. There's another dairy, which is a couple hours north, but then there is the Oasis Camel Dairy, which is not that far from me. So let's all go. I think it'll be a great show. And also one of the guys at Oasis Camel Dairy, Gil Riegler, he started a thing for a while. He worked with camels to help people with disabilities. And he talks amazingly about how it changes their lives. And so that's what my book, Camel Crazy, it has not only all this information about camel milk and autism and your risk factors for autism if you're expecting a baby and like all these kind of things about food, but it's a story. And I have some of these amazing people telling their stories in it. And Gil Riegler at Oasis Camel Dairy is one of them. So they're very open to people with disabilities, and I think we would have an awesome time. So why not?
Absolutely. And just listening to you, Christina, I always tell people about your books because, as we were saying before you came on, you are such an amazing writer. I actually had not remembered that you studied journalism, but it's very obvious in your writing. Let me just say, it's fantastic. But when I listen to you, you're also so incredibly eloquent that I feel like reading your books is not enough, like listening to you. And you should truly, not just about camel milk, but we should maybe have you more on the show, and you should speak more, because I think your journey is so important for parents. And of course, you went through it very quickly here, but it was a different time. It was before there was health insurance, and having to go through actually fighting your district. I mean, you did a lot of that as well.
But because I learned that from her book, that I was going to have to fight. She set me up for that I was like, oh, okay, let me put on, some boots here and pull up the big girl pants and go and fight. Christina did, I have to too. You paved that way for me.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We all have to help each other to make it through and help these incredible children of ours identify their talents, what makes them happy, get them healthy in their diet and their biology. And that way, it's our form of parenting. Yeah. And it's a very complex subject matter. So parents, don't get discouraged. Believe me, I was not good in math back in the day in high school. And when I first looked at the ABA, like kind of checklist and formula stuff, and then I looked at like these medical tests, I was in despair. Oh my, I can't do this. I can't do this. Now I'm writing medical, journal articles. So what can I say?
And I want you to know that a couple of years ago, we went down and filmed a whole series with her it's called Autism and Beyond, that we play in between segments sometimes. That's
I've
with
seen
Christina.
That, of course.
Very beautifully shot. Samantha shot that for us and edited that. We love those. We weren't playing those interstitial pieces during the pandemic, but we've started putting them back into play. And Christina talks about all different kinds of things, about what it feels like as a parent, some of the things that she went through. They're short, but they're really fabulous. And it was such a joy to be down there with you for a couple of days and shooting. But I agree with Dr. Granpeesheh, we should have you on more often.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you. I enjoy what we can all do together, and you guys are amazing. So it's just so interesting lately too. I mean, now that I've kind of got a lot of a background in all this, I keep up with the science information, I keep up with the biology, and there's such an interplay between our environment and between developmental disabilities and autism and things like that. Nonetheless, there is a genetic factor, as we know. So it's always now, there's a lot of science emerging on teasing out what are the factors that go into autism? What are the subtypes? There's at least 6 subtypes now scientifically, but there are probably more. But then these are people. They are our loved ones. They're incredibly talented. Mm-hmm. They're just amazing. I enjoy them so much. And, you may not know, now we're at the point in society, you can have a person walking around you, being around you, a gorgeous young man like some of my son and his friends, and they will have gone through ABA. They will have gone through all this medical thing, and you won't know. You will not have any idea. So that is achieving our goal of getting them to do what they want to do.
That's
absolutely right.
Joanne says if I don't go to the camel farm, that she's going to fly out and go with you. And she says that she wants to know, do you read your own audibles? And she says she really should. I don't even know what that means. What's an audible?
Audible are books on tape, like
okay.
Audio books.
Are you reading your own books then?
The way publishing works is interesting. My publisher, my first book was Penguin, and my second book is New World Library, fabulous company. Both of them have been great. So get this, the audio rights are available. They own them. So if somebody wants to, purchase them, then I can read it, or somebody else can read it. Sometimes these companies audition actors and actresses to do these things, to read books. But I do have a background of reading, like I did NPR for a while. And thank you for the compliment. That's all I can say. But I definitely enjoy I've done a lot of radio. I love that. And I'm just happy to communicate with people. So thank you.
That's
for the compliment.
amazing. So I have some questions. Too.
Yes, you go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm
First of all,
hogging the time.
how is your son doing? Can you tell us how things are going now?
Well, this is so funny when you were talking about let's try to find the kid's talents. Let's see what he or she responds to. Okay, I threw so much money, time, and agony in taking my son to lessons back in the day. Swimming lessons, sewing lessons, art lessons, singing lessons, I mean, horse riding lessons. And I felt like most of them were okay, but none of them seemed to really stick. And acting lessons, I'm like, oh my goodness, I just threw away so much money on lessons in my life. However, the good part is he used to fight me on singing lessons. He was so good, but he wrote a song that was like publishable. It really still is amazing. I thought it was Cole Porter, and the teacher said, your son wrote that. And so now I just thought, I threw away so much money on lessons. Nothing worked. Guess what? He's in a band. He's the
Amazing.
singer. They do music festivals. They make videos.
Wow.
Now he makes films with his friends that are amazing and hilarious.
That's awesome.
And he can still draw. He can sit somewhere, like if he's in a meeting or if he's, in a situation, he can see a stranger and he takes a sketch pad. He does a beautiful pencil. He's gifted with pencil and hands it to him after, or, just shows it to him. It's incredible. So don't despair, my friends. Something might stick eventually.
Sounds like all the lessons paid off.
Yeah, it sounds like
It
he's
didn't
also
feel
very
like
talented.
Yeah, it did not.
That's awesome, though. Good for you. And Christina, what were your thoughts? You've been in the field for a long time. I want to know what you thought when you heard this new prevalence of 1 in 36. What was your initial reaction to that?
Well, as you know, Doreen, all of us parents that have been observing this for a while, we either look at it and say, well, I kind of feel like I know it was coming, but I'm still despairing that I see it.
Yeah.
Or people just get so tired of it, they just walk away and be like, well, there's not much I can do. But the thing is, everybody has to talk about, is it this, is it that, is it that? Scientifically speaking, they know that there are factors that contribute to an increase in autism, developmental disorders, and ADHD. So assuming that, some of these factors are increasing in various countries and all that, the increase is real. We know it is. There's never been facilities to serve this population. Yes, there's more, people that have never been identified that are being identified now, but that's very small. And, people usually rule that out when they're doing these data sets. So what do I feel like it? It's just like, wow, it's not the direction I wanted to see things go in. It's not that we don't want people on the spectrum around, because we love and adore them and they are wonderful and we love them in every way possible. It's that we don't want people to have more challenges that limit their life and cause them biological pain when eating and cause them to do things like, my son can't tolerate the smell of fish in a grocery store. Yeah. He's going to leave, or it's going to make him feel so ill. He's always been like that. So, it's limiting. It's a limitation. You don't want these things to happen to your children if they don't have to. So it's also global. So I try to keep up with the rate. Whatever country I'm in, I do the research before I lecture, or sometimes I lecture remotely. Like I didn't go to Algeria or a couple places this year. I've been kind of busy, but it's there. And all I can say is we know that it's going to impact society. Already, Army recruiting rates, the recruits they don't have as many that are fit and ready for duty. It could affect your military. It's going to affect the funding. Already in England, recently, there's a case where they actually are doing triage. There's all these people waiting for a long time, years, to get screened for autism. But now they've said, unless you're like in some kind of emergency distress, we won't even be there. Wow. So it's going to squash the service, because everybody knows it could bankrupt the country or bankrupt services. So it's depressing.
It is. And yesterday we talked a lot about this as well with various people on the shows. And I guess, my initial emotion was very similar to yours, and it was more focused on why. Like, why is this happening? And how much, you mentioned earlier in this hour, the whole concept of environmental factors. And at the end of my last show yesterday, there were a lot of questions coming up. People were asking, why is it increasing so much? Yeah. And I said, we would have a chance to talk about it, and maybe
Okay.
next hour we'll talk a little bit more about
Yeah.
it, because it's really, we do need to pay attention to the elements in our environment. As you know, there is a genetic predisposition for a certain percentage of kids, but it is triggered by environmental factors. And to talk about those factors, I think, is important, not just for the autism population, but also all chronic illnesses. And to look at kind of what are some things we can do in our environment to start reversing those things, because it has increased so much. And as you said, it affects countries and the economy in so many ways. And you know, what's even worse, yesterday we were talking about the fact that after so many years, there are still very, very few adult services available. And of course, you know, we are, all of us sitting here, we're very blessed in that the children, many of the children get to a point where they're living with minimal or no support, right? But there are also thousands of children who will require lifetime support. And as these numbers increase, more and more attention goes to the younger children who are just entering, because there's sort of such a panic around that and trying to help them, that we just never have the resources to help the adults on the spectrum. And that is just another part of it that's sad.
Yes, it can be catastrophic.
Well, it's tough. And I do talk in Camel Crazy about some of the environmental factors, proximity to power lines,
Yes.
proximity to traffic where there's a lot of air pollution, pesticides,
Yes.
and processed foods. Please avoid those.
Yeah.
There are issues like that. And recently, I just got a new research article yesterday on a substance that's in the water in America in a certain part of it. So I'm going to be looking at that a little more closer, but they do tie it to the risk of autism.
Yeah.
But, you know, what can we say? And also group homes now. This is interesting and not in a good way. A lot of group homes now, when people are trying to place their older children in a group home, the group homes are turning away those with challenging behaviors.
Wow.
So there's literally then no place for them to go. And they could still be, you know, and it's not their fault,
Yeah.
these young adults, but, you know, they can harm their parents. They can
Yeah.
harm people when they lash out if they get very upset. So it's
Yeah.
dangerous.
It is very dangerous.
So Susie says she'd like to go to the Oasis with us as well. We're building an outing.
A tribe.
Yeah, a
Let's call
tribe,
it a
yes.
tribe.
Mike wants you to know that his high school had a real boy in the library, and he says the book is excellent.
Wow.
And that's pretty impressive praise. Sriniketh wants to know, what is the best source or form of camel milk to try in the U.S.? Can you please suggest any U.S.-based local farms to be able to sign up?
Absolutely. Thank you. And I love hearing that a real boy was in the high school. That's great. As far as the location and types of camel milk, the book Camel Crazy that's out there, I think it's like $8 on Amazon right now. So that's cool. You can get it easily. There's the cover. I do talk about not only how to use camel milk, there's a guide in the back, how to use it, what type do you need, how to prepare your child for it or yourself. And then I have a list of farms and merchants globally, not just in America. So I would say, you know, any camel milk is good milk. Some of the children need the unheated type, which you can get straight from a farm, and our supply in America is very safe. And I talk about safety. Some of the children do fine with pasteurized. There's even powder. And now there's chocolate and soap and lotion if you have those sensitive kids. And so sometimes you can even make yogurt. People make yogurt out of it now. And they're making ice cream in Pakistan. And there's a farm in America that he's always playing with ice cream. He's one of our dear Amish friends who keep the camels. And so it's a Humpback Dairy in Missouri. And so he's loving playing with his ice cream. He's now got the largest herd in America. So just go ahead and check out the book if you want to do so. If you don't, you can look online and find some places and dialogue with them.
I'm so glad we had an opportunity to have you be a part of the podcastathon, because it wouldn't have felt like we had done something without you, Christina.
I agree.
So thank you so much. We want to encourage people to get both of your books. They're available in every major bookseller, and you can get them on Amazon. And will you promise to let us know when you're doing something new? Because we'd love to have you back on a more regular basis.
Well, thank you. you guys are always top of mind, and yeah, let's dialogue about what else we can do. And it's funny, if we do want to go to Oasis, probably we could talk about having an event with them. Let's
Oh,
do
that's
it.
nice.
All
That's
right,
awesome.
now we're
Great.
talking. Okay, cool. We have some unicorn craft kits that I need
Oh, right,
to get to
right.
some people. So maybe we need to have camels and unicorns,
Yes.
a themed thing, so that we can do that. But Christina, thank you so
Christina.
much for being available this morning. I know you got a lot of things going on, but we are very grateful for you.
Well, thank you. And I see a question there. Anybody can follow me on social media, ask me questions. I'm at Christina Think on Twitter. I'm Christina Adams Author on Facebook, Christina Adams Author on Instagram, and my website is Christina Adams Author. So let's dialogue and keep it all going.
There you
Thank
go.
you again,
Thank
Christina.
you.
Great to see you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I was supposed to read the winners, and then we're going to quickly transition
We'll do that.
because it's time for Ask Dr. Doreen the potty talk, potty training
Oh,
talk.
right.
So, okay, these are winners of the $25 Discovery Toys gift card for this hour, and these can be used in the Discovery Toy USA website. I'm going to get you that information, but if I say your name, you need to send me back an email. We'll put my email address on the screen, and we'll put it in the chat. It's Shannon@autism-live.com. But are you ready? Serinikath, you have won $25 gift certificate. Antonio Flores, Cindy Govendor, Hannah Lanoid, Damian Hunt, Annette Milima, Tim Waltheri, Naomi Uriel, Anna Donahue, and Taylor Jeffers. You have all won $25 gift cards. You need to email me as soon as possible. I expect to hear from me next Monday or Tuesday that I will get those to you, and congratulations. We're going to take a quick pause, and then it's time for the potty training.
That's awesome.
Discussion, so don't go anywhere.
If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next.
Parent to parent, you might be asking yourself, what are some strategies that I can do to make Hanukkah successful this year? Well, one of the many great things about Hanukkah is you get 8 evenings, 8 opportunities to rehearse and get this right. So set your expectations really in a comfortable place early on, and as the 8 days progress, you can make it a little bit more stringent for the child. But one of the things you can do is also consider getting flameless candles. They make fabulous flameless candles that look like the real deal, and it might be more safe for your child if they're struggling with fire or safety issues. Also, you set your expectations and make sure that you absolutely reward successes. Be clear about what you expect from your child, and then reward the successes, and then you'll have a wonderful, happy Hanukkah. Parent to parent, you might be asking yourself, how can I participate in holiday traditions with a child who's on the autism spectrum? Well, the first thing you want to do is consider it from their point of view and then edit. You really want to simplify. Take a look at it from their eyes and see what's really necessary, what's the most reinforcing part of this tradition, and focus on that. Let everything else go. Another great thing you can do is rehearse the tradition. If you want to go out into the field to cut down a Christmas tree, then rehearse it. You can practice it without actually going out into the field. And the last thing that you always want want to do is to remember to reward them for good behavior and for participating. Let them know how important it is to you and make sure it's worthwhile for them. If you do these things, our kids enjoy these traditions. And remember, holidays are meant to be enjoyed for all of us. Parent to parent, you might be asking yourself, how can I prepare my child for a successful holiday dinner? Well, one of the first things you might want to consider is rehearsing. Set the table, set the scene, invite the child to the table, and you can practice with real food or with pretend food. Either way, make it fun and rewarding. When it's the day of, make sure that you're feeding your child something that they really enjoy eating. This is not the time to introduce a new food or a food that they've had before that they've refused. Make sure it's something they love, because holidays are meant to be enjoyed, right? Also, don't bring them to the table starving and don't bring them to the table full. Try to find that happy medium so that they're not primed for a meltdown. And lastly, reward good behavior at the table. Every time they do something good, shower them with praise and make sure there's some sort of reward for when the dinner is over. And all those things together will help you to have a successful holiday dinner with your parent to parent. You might be asking yourself, how can I have a successful holiday dinner with friends and family and prepare the friends and family for some of the things that will be going on with my child on the autism spectrum? Well, one of the things you might want to consider is writing ahead to people that are going to be at the dinner, whether it's at your house or at their house, and letting them know some of the things that you're going to be doing. If your child is on a special diet, you might want to let them know that you're going to be bringing food that's going to be different from their food. You don't have to go into lengthy explanations. You know, if your child were allergic to peanuts, everybody would just accept it. Say it's an allergy. Say there's a sensitivity and that you're just going to make it easier for them by bringing your child's food. You want to make sure that you look at the people that are going to be at the event and think about who's going to be more likely to be on your side. Enlist their help. Ask them to be a buffer. Tell them you're not going to want to deal with a lot of questions day of, and see if they can't help to get between you and some of those relatives or friends that are a little bit more critical. And the most important thing is you want to be able to enjoy this holiday dinner. So let go of the notion that you should be in charge of what other people think of you or think of your child. I love the phrase, other people's opinions of me and of my child are none of my business. It's a very freeing way to think of things, and it will help you to celebrate that holiday dinner with joy.
The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. Good morning. We are in the 43rd hour of the podcastathon. So there's this hour and the next hour. This is the last hour of Ask Dr. Doreen, and we were saving this. This is the much requested talk about potty training. So in just a second, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Grand-Pichet, and she's going to give you the 411 on potty training, the definitive 411. Okay, but before we do that, I want to let you know a couple of different things during this hour. We are going to be giving away another 10 gift certificates for Discovery Toys. If you have not already won a gift certificate, then you really want to be entered into this. So the way the rules work, if you write a comment or a question, then you will, for each comment or question, you will have one ticket that's put into the hat, and at the end of the hour, we will pick out 10 more names. If you've already won, you can keep asking questions and comments. That's what you're here for, right? But you won't be entered to win. But you know, it's a great opportunity to call somebody up in your family right now and go, excuse me, why aren't you doing this, right?
That's true.
And write in a question or a comment. So we absolutely we love Discovery Toys. They make great toys. The gift certificate will be for $25. It will be good on the Discovery Toys USA site, not in stores or on Amazon or on other websites for other countries. So want to be clear about that. Also want to say to you, this is the final hour where you guys, there's the Discovery Toy. We love Discovery Toys. This is the final hour where you can make a donation to our iPad challenge so that next hour, it's only an hour away, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes,
boys and
yes.
girls, dogs and cats, alert the media. If we get to the $5,000, she is going to shave my head right here, right in this space.
We have to go check, see what our balance is.
Yeah, so put us over the top because you know that you want to see that. She wants to do it. I'm ready, willing, and able. But we want to put iPads in people's hands because communication is a right, not a privilege. So, and people need help getting iPads. So there it is. I love the pulsing arrow. It's very subtle.
Yeah, I love it, Trevor.
The site is givebutter.com/iPad challenge. And of course, we'll take more than $5,000 because that's just more iPads, right? But we need to get to $5,000. The moment is now. We've got a bunch of different questions that have come in. I love that Nava Paskowitz-Asner wants to send us both to Tahiti for a week after this. Thank you, Nava. That would sounds like a great deal of fun. But really, all I want to do is go to sleep in my shower.
I know.
That's all. That's all
in
I want.
about 2 hours, we know where you will be.
Yeah, yes. Asleep, but can't.
Make sure you put a cap on because you might get cold.
I
without
know.
that.
Bob DeMarco was on during the 2 to 3 hour this morning. He journeyed to the studio, and Bob is such a tour de force from Ability Life Solutions, but he is a follically challenged gentleman, and we were talking about the fact that I was going to look like his twin, and he was like, "It's cold out, you better get a cap."
Yeah.
And I didn't think to bring one. I've got one in my car, so it'll be fine. In fact, I have a very pink, happy, jaunty
go.
little baseball hat. So there, I will be. I know the drill, and I love being bald.
That's amazing. Yeah,
If I could take alopecia for some poor woman who doesn't want it, I would. I would take one for the team because I'm fine with it. You get to put a wig on, it doesn't scratch.
Is this true?
You know, I mean, it's all good. So make me bald. Come on, let's do this. But I think the funner thing is that you're going to do it, and she is so delighted about it. Let's make this happen because it will be iPads in people's hands. Okay, so I've said be writing in your questions and your comments so that you can win a Discovery Toy gift certificate for $25. But we're dying to hear from Dr. Grant-Pichet about the definitive potty training. So take it away.
Let's do this. So yeah, we do get a lot of questions about potty training. And I'm going to try to go through kind of the steps for you and tell you a little bit about how to prepare and some of the things you can do. Let me start by saying that I know a lot of parents are very afraid of taking this step and actually doing the toilet training, but truthfully, as soon as your child is able to, it's good to do this because it really reduces a really pretty significant stressor in your life and theirs. And gives them a lot of new abilities, you know, like a lot of schools require this before you can even attend. So, and we will have some time after this to answer questions as well. So let's get going. And okay, so I'm gonna ask Trayvon to see if he can move me.
He will. He automatically, he will move you around the screen.
He's so good. So some of the things before you begin, one is make sure that you do a medical checkup. I mean, I know all of our kids go through checkups, but there have been situations where there was some medical factor that we were not aware of that would have prevented us or held us back. So it's important to make sure your child is healthy. Some of the prerequisites, just kind of, this is important because sometimes we do these, we want to teach our kids during their real life time and it just doesn't work. So ask yourself, does your child have the skills to carry out a toileting routine? So for instance, does your child know where the bathroom is? Does your child have the ability to pull up or down pants or pull-ups? And these are things that you should separately practice, right? As we do in ABA, we kind of break things apart and teach our children in small amounts. Does your child imitate? Because some of this you may want to have your child imitate you, for instance, showing them how to wipe on a doll or showing them how to sit on the toilet. Remember, if a child doesn't have any experience with the toilet, it is not uncommon for them to have a fear of the toilet. So just make sure some of those things are just done through imitation, so you know that your child is willing and able to carry out these procedures. A lot of people always ask me, what are some signs that my child is ready for this, right? And most of it has to do with children who are either uncomfortable when they're wet or soiled. Yesterday, actually, somebody said, do you think it's a sign if my child comes up to me whenever they have like they've gone in their diaper? And yeah, it is. And it's a really good sign, because the whole thing is that your child can actually feel the discomfort of being wet or soiled. Another sign is if they're asking about the toilet, interested in the toilet, wondering why people go to the toilet. A lot of little girls especially just model and see that others are going to the bathroom and they'll take you by the hand and try to go to the bathroom. So if you have a child who's showing any kind of readiness signs, let's go, and let's go fast. Some preparation stuff when you want to start. On the day that you want to start, you get a potty seat with a stool or a transitional potty, right? And so you put a stool in front of the toilet and you put a potty seat on top of it, or you can get one of the ones that is stool and a transitional potty. You want to have lots of underwear with cool characters or pictures or something fun. And it is totally fine, by the way, if you decide that you want to go from, if you're doing this early and you're going from diapers to pull-ups instead of going straight to underwear, that's fine too, because pull-ups nowadays you can have less and less filling and they start to resemble underwear. But I know that kids really, like, you want to make this a fun experience for the child, and you want to give them an opportunity to do things that are just new to them and fun. And like a lot of kids love like underwear that has the characters they like on it.
Yeah.
So, and you need a timer. It doesn't matter what kind of timer. It's got to be something that, my preference for kids is a timer that actually shows the time clicking down, even makes a sound. That would be good too, because kids are always like into what's going on around them, and this will help. Wipes, you want to have wipes. Visual supports, a picture schedule of the routine. I think I have a sample, but essentially just, you can print that offline, online, or if you have pictures, you could perhaps produce that. But essentially it'll be like 5 or 6 pictures showing the child coming, entering the bathroom, sitting on the toilet, or taking their pants down, sitting on the toilet, then flushing, like standing up, flushing, then going over and washing their hands. So it's some sort of picture schedule. And there's many of these you can choose from online that you can print out. You want to have a basket full of fun things to keep the child busy. So like toys, books, bubbles, an iPad or TV. And I know these all sound like reinforcers. They are. They're things that the child likes to do, but they're activity-based. So they're things that will keep the child on the toilet. You also need a basket of rewards, right? Candy, cookie, juice. And you want to make sure that you're not satiating your child during the day, right? So if you give your child a bunch of candy during the day, like earlier in the morning or something, they're just not going to be as motivated to work for those things. So these are 2 different baskets. And you want to have a data chart. Now you can, it is your preference how you want to do a data chart, but if you go online and ask for a data chart for potty training, you'll see the main components of this data chart are, you want to have the day, of course, on there, and then you want to have if the child was dry when they came in, dry or wet, and if they were successful or not successful in their attempt to use the bathroom. And this is kind of important because you want to make sure you're progressing after a couple of days, right?
That becomes sort of a
that's-
reinforcer for us.
Yes,
seeing the
absolutely,
progress, yeah.
absolutely. And I think I do have a couple of samples. I'm just not sure if Traven has the accurate, I don't think he has the latest PowerPoint. So what we'll do afterwards, because there's a couple of, I just decided at the last minute to put in,
Do you want to hold this?
okay, he says he's going to switch it real fast, because, sure. So I just want to show you guys some of the samples of, you know, what the schedule that goes on the wall looks like, the visual schedule, and also the toilet data sheets, because I think a lot of parents are confused about what are some of the things that are on these, you know,
Yeah.
and it's kind of important because the more resources I can give you,
Yeah.
the better it is. And as he's pulling that up, I'll talk a little bit about your setup, kind of how you're going to set things up. So you want to, first of all, make sure you're positioning the potty seat and stool in place. So that's where that's going to stay. And ideally, you want to keep that in place for the next couple of days, and everybody else in the family will use some other location or some other bathroom if that's possible. Or if you as an adult are using the toilet, make sure when you leave you put the potty seat and stool back, okay? Because we don't want your child going in and like all of a sudden it's a whole, there you go, thank you so much, Traven, that's great. So this is a sort of a visual schedule, as you can see, and you can move this around, do it however you like. You know, find others that you can print. So first it's like I'm taking my pants off. And by the way, you can practice this separately before you even start the potty training procedure. So one is you take the pants down, then you take the underwear down, and then the child is sitting on the toilet. And then you can, sometimes you even have like, sometimes we will have something in the toilet, like a little tissue or something that the child is going to pee on. Kids like that.
They have targets that are super
Targets,
fun.
yeah. In fact, actually now there are companies that produce specific things for this. And then you have a picture of wiping, then you have a picture of flushing, and then pull the underwear up and pull the pants up. Very, very simple to do, but it is helpful to have that because you're going to put this to the potty so that the child also has a prompt if they ever want to look at that. So
like that
let me
back?
just go
Sorry.
back to the next slide. And this is a sample data sheet. And as you can see, I mean, there's a lot of different things you can have on the data sheet, but I wanted to make sure you have a sample to show if it's like if the child has had already is wet or has had a bowel movement when they come in, or if they needed a prompt or didn't need a prompt, and whether or not they were successful when they came in, okay? And that's all you do. You just track that every single time that during the day, and as you do that, you will show that, oh, things are getting better, hopefully, over the course of the time that you're doing this. So as I said, set up stuff as you position the potty. You put the extra underwear pile and the timer and wipes somewhere accessible to you. You place the activity basket within reach of the child, because remember, you want to make this fun. Now, I just said activity basket. Sometimes parents will go all out. They'll put a TV in the bathroom. They'll put like all kinds of stuff that excites the child, like balloons, whatever you can, in the bathroom and within reach, because you want the child to enjoy this experience.
It's got to be the party, right?
It's got to be a party, but you're hiding the reinforcer basket, or if there is a TV, you're turning it off initially, because access to those really, really important primary reinforcers, really effective reinforcers, should really happen if there is a success. You post the visual routine in an area where the child can see it, and because you're going to be pointing at that each picture to help the child know what to do. And you put the data sheet somewhere safe so that you can use it. And you want to make sure you're picking like at least 3-4 days when there's nothing major going on. Like you don't want to be doing this when you're traveling. Preferably you can do this on a vacation or a long weekend so that it's not interfering with school.
Not for Grandma's 100th birthday or Jill's baby shower.
Exactly.
Or Aunt Betty's wedding.
Exactly, exactly. So the overall process, and I'm going to give it to you very, very simple, 4 steps, is you want to be, and this is I call it 15 off, 5 on, just so you remember. But these will change, and they could be different in the beginning as well. I picked 15 off, that means 15 minutes off the toilet and 5 minutes on the toilet, just because it's very unlikely that a child will have an accident in 15 minutes if they've just gone, right? Sometimes we know, because we as behaviorists have taken baseline data, we know that it's okay to do 30 minutes off, 5 on. And if you know that your child's not going to have an accident, you can absolutely, the longer the period of time off, the more progress you've made, okay? So essentially, start the day with a potty party. No more pull-ups, and now you're with your child, you're like, no more pull-ups, we're throwing them away, say bye to the pull-ups, say hello to these underwear, look how cute this is, isn't this awesome, make it exciting. And put the underwear on and let the child feel that they're actually dry, right? And celebrate and say, look, dry undies, great, good job. And show your child your reinforcers and just tell them you can have these if pee-pee and poo-poo go in here, and you show the child where it is. Okay. Step 2, we're 15 minutes free play. So you've done all that. Now the child has the underwear on, and you are running around having lots and lots of fun. You might want to give your child salty food so that they'll be drinking, because when you're doing this training, you'll be giving them a lot of liquids. So, and you set the timer for 15 minutes. Now you take your child at the end of the 15 minutes, you take your child to sit on the toilet. And when you're on the toilet, you will mark the data sheet initially, what time you're going in, and if the child is wet or dry or has a bowel movement when they're taken in. Now, you just want to mark it, but the important thing is that you're keeping that period of time off the toilet short enough initially that when you start, hopefully you can avoid wetness. You can avoid it so that the child is like having a very positive, successful experience, okay? If they are wet or they've had a bowel movement during that 15-minute period, you'll remove the underwear, you'll tell the child where poop or pee goes unemotionally, and you will give the child a dry underwear and you'll reward them. And that'll be any time during the 15 minutes that they're off, right? So you don't have to wait until the end. We don't want our kids walking around wet if they had a bowel movement in the first minute. You will not make them wait 15 minutes, but anytime they have an accident, you take them to the bathroom, if you can, you put the bowel movement in the toilet, you remind the child, go through the visual again, and you change them so that they're dry again. This is important. Now, step 3, you are now at the point where the 15 minutes is over and you're on the toilet. So they will stay there for 5 minutes, set the timer. The child sits on the toilet, and if they void on the toilet, if they pee on or poo, you will give reward, cheer, go crazy, immediately remove the child from the toilet, put a dry undie on, reward them to do all kinds of fun stuff. If nothing's happening, you just let them sit there for 5 minutes, maybe turn on the TV, or not the TV because they haven't been successful, but give them the basket of activities. Keep them busy. This is not supposed to be a activity that's not fun. It's supposed to be fun. And when they're finished, put on the dry undies and have the child again touch dry. One of the things a parent suggested to me, and they were right, was it would be great if your child has a concept of the labels dry and wet before you're doing this, right? So they learn that you want to try to keep it dry. Again, you mark the data sheet that there was either no success, a BM, or there was PP. Great. Now you're just going to repeat this process all day until bedtime, and that is where it's hard. I used to tell parents that you want to help. You don't want to be the only one doing this. You want to have either, if you can have older siblings, therapists, cousins, friends, neighborhood, whatever. It is so much easier if you only have like a 2-hour shift each of you. When it's bedtime, you'll definitely go back to having a pull-up. Someone had asked earlier today, what do I do to make the bedtime overnight thing successful? That's a kind of a whole different phase, but the important things that you can do are not give your child liquid after like 6 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and make sure that you take your child to the toilet before they go to bed, right? This is very important. If they're not in this phase yet, if they don't know that it's okay to go to the toilet and void yet, if they're afraid of it, then make sure that you give your child a whatever they're used to, a diaper, whatever, before you take them to bed, because you want to try to get a void as close as you can to their bedtime. And then you take them to bed, and then, you know, sometimes parents are amazing with this kind of stuff, and they'll actually even wake up early, and because I'm always amazed at what parents know, parents of kids on the spectrum. They're like, I know he always goes at 5 a.m. I don't know how you know, but if you know, then you want to catch it before it happens. So that's the main thing. And again, you want to, every time you're doing this, you're using the visual schedule every single time, because you want to help the child get into a routine. If you have a child who is incredibly successful right off the bat, then the next step is to increase those periods of time off the toilet and on the toilet, because what happens is you go to like 30 minutes if you can, very slowly, guys, like from 15 to 16 to 17 to 18, very gradually. You don't want to go so fast and increase the time so that your child has an accident. That is not the point of this. You want to do well. And of course, if your child's gotten the message, they will void as soon as they sit on the toilet, which is really, really good. And remember, our goal here is not to teach bowel movement training. Your goal here is to teach pee-pee training.
Yeah,
okay?
first things first.
First things first. Bowel movements are a little bit different, and a lot of our parents know that our kids have, not only do they have a specific time of day or times of day that they go, and you can always predict that. It's like right after he eats or in the afternoon at 3 o'clock. And the other thing is they have tells, like the child will go in a closet and hide, or you can always tell from their body movements that they're uncomfortable and getting to that point where they really need to know. I'm always incredibly amazed with behavior technicians who know this about the kids they're working with.
Yeah, they recognize the sign.
Yeah, it's amazing. So for the next few days, maybe 2 or 3 days, you want to keep doing this until the child gets a routine in their head, right? You're gradually increasing the time off the toilet. If this is not working, reduce the time, it says tie, reduce the time off the toilet. In other words, if you are still having accidents, then you know that 15 minutes is too long.
Yeah.
So, and you want to start with 10 minutes and 5 minutes, whatever it is, and increase the time on the toilet. So you reverse it so that you have to find your child's baseline of success. 15 and 5 is usually more than enough, right? In fact, I'll say probably, if I was going to go off the top of my head, probably somewhere around 30 and 5 is usually successful, but it depends on how much liquid your child is taking in. It depends on their size, depends on how much else they're eating. It really varies. For bowel movements, as I said, keep track of, because you're going to be so focused on your child's schedule. You're going to be with your child the whole time. Keep track of the times they have bowel movements, because this is going to really help you when you start focusing on the BMs, right? And doing this whole thing again with the BMs. After you are at a point of 1 hour off the potty without accidents, it's time to teach your child to ask for potty, right? Until now you were taking them. So now when you take the child, you want them, you'll ask, and you can model this. If it's a nonverbal child, you can touch an icon. You're going to teach the child to touch an icon. We've done this where we're doing other things with the child, and there's a little sign or a picture or icon of the child on the toilet in the room where we're working with the child, on the table, on the wall. It's accessible so that every once in a while we'll point to it and say, do you have to go? And then the child will say, I have to go. And you want to model this in whatever part of their vocal lingo or program you're at, okay? Yeah, that's kind of where pair the icon or picture, then fade your schedule further. The whole goal of this is to be able to get out there with your child without them having diapers on, right? So if you're gonna go out, you wanna make sure that you're increasing this schedule to the point where you can go out. If there's an accident, do not overreact and get mad. Just repeat the schedule at shorter intervals. Let's say we're at the 30-minute mark and I decide, oh, I'm gonna increase this to 35. Oh, my child has an accident, no big deal. Go back to 30, get success, then do 32. Do a slower increase of the time frame, okay? Make sure that you are throwing a party whenever they're successful. This is the stuff you always tell me too. It's like reinforce, go crazy, turn the TV on, give them everything they want. Go very gradually. Some kids need 3 or 4 days of this repetition before the routine has come in for them. Early on, for boys, decide if you're going to be doing standing or sitting. Do not go back and forth.
Okay.
Pick one. And this is a family choice. It really is.
Yeah.
Like, it's completely up to you. Sometimes it's easier for boys if they're standing because they like to see that they're making like a tissue or colored item inside the toilet a different color.
Right.
But sometimes families prefer that even if it's a boy, they're sitting. It is entirely up to you. That's the behavior you want to model. There's a little trick, which is putting a little piece of toilet paper in the toilet for the male child to aim at. Because if you are standing, one of the things that happens is aiming. You have to teach the child to aim by holding.
Yes, please.
Yes, because they will go all over the place because
Yes.
they don't know that they can hold their wee-wee and do it correctly, right?
Yes.
They're like all over the place. You're in the beginning, you are rewarding for just voiding. Then you are going to be rewarding for the whole routine. Now remember, everything that I said, the reward right now is for just voiding. You're doing all the other stuff. You're doing the pulling the pants down, the so on and so on. If your child is able to do all of that stuff, great. But we're not expecting it here. What you're doing is you're expecting the child to be voiding once you've taken their pants and their underwear and help them get on the potty, okay? And later you're also doing the rest. And then the whole hand washing thing is a whole different routine. This is really important. What we do in ABA, we do task analysis. So every step is its own lesson. You're not doing 10 lessons at the same time. You'll teach them separately and then you'll chain them, okay? So you will teach the parts of the routine separately. You can be working on this later, it doesn't matter, but until your child knows how to pull their pants down and pull their underwear down, that's one lesson. Sitting on the toilet, that's a whole different thing. Pulling up, completely different thing. And if you're doing a dressing, undressing program in your ABA program or separately, you'll be teaching those things, and it is wonderful because then you can reward the child for the whole routine. Hand washing, completely different thing, and often what we do is we teach hand washing in a backward chaining procedure. That means anything, you can teach everything in a backward chaining procedure. I find it to be very useful. What it means is that you write out the steps. I've written them out here for you, like for hand washing. You turn on the water, you wet the hands, you put soap on hands, you rub hands, you rinse, and you turn off, and you dry hands. Those are the steps. You can do a visual schedule for this as well. With backward chaining, you help the child with all the steps except for the last one. So initially you'll do all of them, and then what you'll do is you'll do all of them, and when it comes to drying hands, you start to fade yourself out. So you give the child a tissue or a cloth or towel, and you'll help them initially, you'll model it, but then that's the one that you want to get yourself out of. And you will get the child to do that. Now, we've mastered drying hands, so the next day you'll be turning on water, wetting hands, put soap on hands, rub hands, rinse, and then now you're going to help the child turn off the water. So you gradually eliminate yourself. You take yourself out of each of the steps, starting with the last one, and you work your way up so that the child is now just depending on their visual schedule for prompts. Now, generalization is really important as well, because all you've accomplished when you've done all of this is that you've learned how to do potty training in your house in that one toilet.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're doing this in different places of the house. You want to make sure that you are using now different toilets. Let's say you're the grandparents' house, a friend's house. This is important, guys. Do not assume that, and school, of course, do not assume that because your child has had success, they're going to be okay everywhere. That's just not going to happen. So you want to make sure that you do at least a couple of hours of the same routine and make sure your child's successful in other places. Some of the things that parents often talk to me is there's a fear of using the toilet. So, and that's very common. So you can use the transitional potties that they have, which are outside of the toilet. Gradually shape going in and sitting on the toilet. Make sure that you get your child comfortable with that before you start the process. Sometimes kids are out of control with flushing because they like that. It's a self-stimulatory type thing. Don't allow them. That means, though, that it's rewarding to them, right? They're trying to gain access to the flush. Don't allow them to do that unless they void it. If they have voided, then it's a treat.
Yep.
They can do it. Some kids have a fear of flushing. If that's the case, where children will be afraid of the sounds, make sure that you actually either get a silent toilet, which there are many, or give the child headphones so that they're not afraid. And don't flush when you're right in the middle of the training. You don't want anything to scare your child. You want to make sure of that. It has to be a positive experience. If the child wants to play with toilet paper, do not allow that. The rule is to only use toilet paper when they void. Okay, this is very important too. A child might want to play with the toilet water. You want to make sure you avoid that. Lock the toilet as soon as you can. This is really important. It's not sanitary, and this is one of those things that kids, you just don't want them to focus on this because they'll start throwing objects in the toilet as well. If any of these things happen, you have to block it, you have to avoid it. Don't allow the child to do that. Just a couple of comments on the bowel movements. Children are sometimes afraid of pooping in the toilet. They're like wondering, where does everything go? It looks like this thing is going to suck me in here. It's scary. This is okay. You want to do the pee-pee training first. The poop training after a while, not a big deal. You can also have the child drop poop from the diaper into the toilet, or you can drop poop from the potty into the toilet so that they learn it's not, and celebrate it so that they get comfortable with it and understand it's nothing to be afraid of. It really helps with bowel movements if you know a specific time. And make sure you're not doing this with children who have diarrhea or are constipated. Yeah. This is very, very important. And I think that's my actually last slide. One thing that I wanted to mention is that a good technique is to have the child feel the dry underwear and all the time reward dry underwear as opposed to wet underwear.
So I'm highly suggestible, so this has made me need to use the restroom.
Oh, please.
I'm sat here and crossed my legs. I'd like to take a short break.
Yes.
And then, so that I can get out and use the restroom. And then would you like to come back and answer questions for the couple of minutes that we have left of this? And then I'll join you at the top of that hour. Is that okay?
Absolutely, yes.
Because you've got some questions that have come in. So forgive me, the bladder has just said it's hour 43.
We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Stick with us. Go. Okay. I just can't do it. Parent to parent, you might be asking yourself, how can I celebrate New Year's Eve with my child on the autism spectrum? Well, here are some tips to consider to make it really, really fun. First of all, put the child to bed at their regular time. That's going to make the evening better for you, but you're still going to celebrate the event with your child. Maybe record the dropping of the ball the night of, so that in the morning you can show it with your child and you can celebrate. And in the morning, you'll be much more amenable to them running around, making some noise, maybe blowing some of the noisemakers. Celebrate the day with your children. Find something to do that sets off the year in a wonderful tone, but do it in the morning after.
So we're gonna do down dog next. So with down dog, there are several different ways that you can do it, and I wanna show you first and then help you with yours so that we can work on what feels good for you, okay? All right, because there's no right way to do it, it's more about what your body likes, right? So for me, what I'm gonna do is start off with my hands at the top of my mat, my headlights, my fingers are aiming towards the top of my mat, and then I'm going to tuck my toes, and then my head is also gonna drop, and I'm going to look between my toes. Okay? And my body should be, or hopefully, like an A shape.
Or V.
Or V, yes.
Upside down V.
Yep. And so if your quads are tight or your hamstrings are tight, you might need to bend your knees a little bit.
Then it's you.
Or if your shoulders are a little strained or a little tight, remember to push in through your feet, but also sometimes what feels really good is going down on your forearms, like this. You can actually start out this way instead, it's a little easier. So your forearms rest on the floor, you still tuck your toes, and then you're still looking between your toes, but rather than being on your hands then, your weight's along your hands and your forearms. Okay? All right. So, now it's your turn. Okay? So, yep. You're gonna do on your hands? Okay, yep. So your fingers are facing the front of the mat. Are you doing forearms? Forearms? Okay, there we go. Wow, you're very bendy. Very nice. And your gaze is right here between your toes. Excellent. Very nice, Jem. Wow. Awesome. Feet are a nice distance apart. How does that feel?
Okay.
Awesome. You want to come down? Excellent. Good.
Parent to parent, you might be asking yourself, how can I have some successful strategies to get through the holidays with relatives? Whether you're traveling to be with them or they're traveling to be with you, you really want to clearly define your expectations for everyone. Let your child know what's expected of them. Let your relatives know what's expected of them. Make sure you reinforce people when they participate in those expectations. Build in breaks and quiet spaces for everyone. Your child might engage in some self-stimulatory behavior that is loud and noisy. You want to make sure that you give them the opportunity to do that, but give it to them someplace that it's far away from the other relatives so that it isn't getting on their last nerve. And most importantly, find the way to just be at peace with whatever happens. Practice that saying, other people's opinions of me and of my child are none of my business. And then you will be in a place of peace to enjoy the holidays and being with relatives. So here we go. Let's motor through this. Top 10 tips for reducing stress in the morning routine. This is a parent-to-parent discussion. Okay. First, I forgot. First, I want to say why. Because I'm back.
You're back, and we had to cut off your video in order to come back fast because we only have a few minutes.
That's right.
So I just want to quickly answer some of these questions. Sriniketh said that her child has bladder control for 1 hour now, pull-ups only at night if he wakes up in BN sleep. I don't know where she means, but we lead him to the potty to void. That's great. That's very good if you do that in the middle of the night. And during the day, if you miss the 1 hour break, he doesn't prompt when he needs to go and it's an accident. Yeah. So just keep him on a 1 hour schedule for a little bit and then gradually start to increase that. So take him to the bathroom at 1 hour and 5 minutes. And then stay with that for a week and take him to the bathroom at 1 hour and 10 minutes. And like I said, it's just gradual, right? And it's make sure also that when he goes, you're differentiating success from failure. If he's wet, have him touch that he is wet and do not give any kind of rewards. And then when he's dry, have him touch dry and tell him, you're dry, yay, and make a big deal about it. So, you know, that's important, you guys. Like, don't assume that our kids will just go from a 15-minute, 1-hour schedule to just, holding. He's on a schedule. That's a great step, but you still need to make him understand that the point of this is to stay dry. So you got to reward dry behavior. That's very, very important. Bowel movements are still an accident. That's so hard. I understand that. You just have to figure out, keep a diary. It helps so much to know what, and you'll be surprised. It's people in general, he's not going to have 10 different bowel movement times. He's possibly going to have 2 in the day. Most people generally go at the same time every day. Sometimes they'll go more like twice a day, but find the times that he has a bowel movement. And it's not always right after meals. Sometimes it's when they wake up. Sometimes it's just when they know they're going to be alone. It's different. Now, Judy wrote in and said, how do you teach not to flush before I wipe? Which is another issue I need to monitor for the doctor. He's 14 years, and I want to give privacy, but I need to monitor daily. So, Julie, is it vital that he doesn't flush before you're wiping him? Is there a reason for that? Because he could flush, then he wipes, and then he flushes again. I'm not sure I understand, but I think you need to start teaching him to wipe himself. Because if he's 14 and you want to give him privacy, then you can't be wiping him anymore. And you can do that through modeling with a doll. I have found that to be, honestly, the most effective. And it is just the motion, the movement, and you can put melted chocolate or something on the doll and actually show him how to do this and then prompt him to do it. So, okay, and she wrote back in and said, he's going pee or poo, then flush, then the other, then flush again. Right, so he's flushing multiple times. It could be that he is just enjoying the flushing experience. I don't want to remove a reinforcer yet until he's really gotten the idea of this. But also, remember, if you put up a visual chart, there's only one picture that's flushing. So it's kind of like you can have the whole array and then prompt the visual chart of flushing. You can block him from flushing, but there's part of me that doesn't want to I don't want to prevent him from getting that reinforcer, if that is a reinforcer for him. When he's successful, you want to make sure he's not flushing unless he's successful, but you were saying he's successful multiple times. Like he has pee-pee, then he flushes, poo-poo, then he flushes. That's totally fine for now. And also give other reinforcers, because as long as the child has other reinforcers, then they might not turn around and flush, right? He might have something else he's going to go for at that time. I think those are the main questions right now.
And I want to ask about the doll thing, because I had shared with you before that there's a video that is out right now that's kind of viral, that's a teacher. And I think I don't actually think she's teaching the wiping. I think she's teaching not using a whole bunch of toilet paper.
Yes.
But what I think is fascinating about it is that if you think about it, there is the wonderful thing of being able to look at the doll's tushy and to wipe it off and to be able to see it, this kind of visual.
Yes.
But that is not how we end up doing it. And I had never thought about this before I saw this teacher do it, that she sits at the front of her classroom in front of her students.
Yes.
She's got 2 big balloons that are tied to the back of her chair.
Yes.
And she takes a square of toilet paper and she holds it up to them and she reaches around and wipes between the 2 balloons.
Yes, I've seen this.
Right, and picks it up and looks at it, and then she folds it in half, so now there's a clean part, and she uses that to wipe again and looks at it before she throws it away. And what I really am struck by that is that it practices the actual vantage point of the fact that you're not seeing your tushy while you do it.
Absolutely, yes. And every child is different. Some kids are incredible with just imitation, and they can look at a doll and they'll figure it out right away because they have a sense of their body. Other kids are just at the point where, like you said, where maybe even if they see someone doing exactly that physical, it's not enough for them, and you will have to prompt them physically, manually, to actually do the action that they're supposed to do. Like I said, it is important to modify this procedure for each child, and it's really important to like prepare those things ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's not going to be the days that you start doing the actual schedule. Your child should be able to do all those things separately, you know, including one of the biggest ones is just taking their pants off. Like all these things are steps that you can work on.
Absolutely. Now, Judy wrote back in and said that he's on meds for the bowels. That is the only way the bowels move. Only wipe the butt. He can only use wet flushable, and she says, I watched the video, the video that we're talking about, I assume, the teacher.
And as I said, it's very, if he is on medication for bowel movements, you got to get his bowel movements very regular before you start doing this, because now we're talking about two different things.
Sure.
You know, and you never want to like be doing, and I don't know what kind of meds he's on, but I'm assuming that maybe he has constipation and we're trying to get his bowels to move more frequently. I don't know, but that's why I said initially check with a doctor, because when you're in the middle of, if you're having a hard time or you're going too often, is not the time to do this training.
So if you're there, I mean, you know, here she is with a 14-year-old who is having bowel movements on a regular daily basis, or hopefully, right? And he's on the meds, and she's wanting to teach it. What does she do now? Because we can't just stop the...
Absolutely.
So what does she do?
You continue to model. You're not concerned with privacy at this point.
Okay.
I mean, I know that we all want to give our kids privacy, but it's a task, and he has to learn that task before we get into the issue of privacy, right? Same thing with that teacher who's teaching don't waste toilet paper. I mean, for typically developing kids, that's one thing, because they might already know. But with our kids, I don't care if they waste toilet paper. I don't care if they're wiping with only wet wipes. These are irrelevant. The issue that I'm trying to get through to the child is just how to get them to focus on a schedule that their body triggers.
Yes.
You know, when I feel this sensation, I don't want to get wet. I'm going to go.
Exactly.
So that I'm successful in the toilet. Their goal has to be, I want to void in the toilet. I want to void in the toilet. That's it.
So all other things take the back seat. I think this is a hard concept for a lot of people, for a lot of different things, because we go, oh, well, you know, now he's doing this thing that I told him not to do on the toilet, but you're saying, don't attend to that. Let's really focus on the fact that he's doing it in the toilet.
Absolutely.
And that we're reinforcing that. So
That's
that
right.
the desire to want to do that is the thing, and everything else let go of
Doesn't
for
matter,
now.
yes. And Judy's actually going on to saying, just wondering why flushing often. That's different reasons. He could enjoy the sound. He could enjoy what it looks like. He could also enjoy, he could also hate the smell or the look of it and feel like it's dirty and he wants to get rid of it faster. Kids have different reasons for these things.
But she also says once a week. That's when he's having a bowel movement once a week, which that's
not good.
It's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Because not only is that's going to cause other issues and pain and discomfort, but when you are trying to push something out that's a week old, that's an entirely different.
100%.
You know, and can be painful.
Very. And the other thing is, a lot of times, like doctors will give us like either very strong stool softeners or things that will actually cause some irritation in the stomach. And that is not comfortable either. So, and this is, you know, you're not supposed to wait once a week. So like one of the things I tell people very often is just give your child magnesium citrate.
There we go.
And honestly, it will make every child regular and not hard.
There we go. You heard it there. Okay, we are out of time in this hour.
Yes.
And,
oh my God.
And we need to get set up for this next hour. I do want to tell you that in this next hour, if you recall, we were supposed to have Dr. Stephen Shore in the third, fourth hour, and we weren't able to connect with him. And so he's going to connect with us at the top of this hour.
Great.
I think we're going to we're going to do one pass we're going to check the numbers. If you haven't donated, donate now. What is it? Give Butter. I thought it was iButter. GiveButter.com/iPad challenge. Please give whatever you can. We're going to get the cape all warmed up. Let's get to the thing here. And then I think we're set up to take one pass at the hair, and then we're going to bring Stephen Shore in while I look ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
Talk with him for a few minutes, and then we will do the hair and some other things, and we have another guest that's going to be joining us, we think, in the studio. So, I got to say the names of the winners. So for this hour, the winners, and by the way, you have to email me, Shannon@autism-live.com, so that I have your email address. Alex Gao, Vivian Merritt, Mila Ying, Rhoda Haxley, Jonathan Scoville, Georgina Duran, Rual Pena, Lee Kendall, Stacy Ramirez, and Aisha Odom. You have all won a $25 gift card for Discovery Toys that will be good on the Discovery Toys USA website, not on Amazon or other toy sellers or other country websites. You will get all those instructions, and I will email you the code that is your Discovery Toys gift certificate, but you have to email me first because I do not have your email. So my email is shannon@autism-live.com. We are going to pause. It is time for hour 44, the hour we've all been waiting for. So
Yay.
Stick with us, watch these messages, and we're going to come back and we're going to shave some hair.
Yes.
But donate so that we can. All right, back in a few. I got to do the U-turn around the thing? Okay. So, Kelby, do I want the north entry or the south, or does it matter? Okay. Are we doing curbside bag check? Which way, Kelby? Left? Yeah. Kelby, can I go through the T? Yeah, I have a toll tag.
Yeah, you go through the T.
Okay. What do you do that, like, you could just spend 2 hours doing and have it suck all your time?
Oh, I like to look up interesting research articles on animal behavior. Found a really interesting European papers on how wolves are different than dogs that I read last week that were very, very interesting.
Very cool.
Because I've always talked about a brain can be more social emotional or a brain can be more cognitive.
Yeah.
And the wolf turns out to be more cognitive, and we've bred the dog to be more social emotional.
How fascinating is that?
Very, very interesting. The wolves were very good at watching another wolf solve a problem.
We were talking a little bit about television before, and I cannot believe that what you said to me, what you like to watch on television.
Star Trek. I was a Star Trek fan when I was a teenager. I liked the Star Trek Next Generation. I was watching that when I was working on my PhD in the 80s.
And so
Total Star Trek fan.
what's your favorite series, and what's your favorite character, and what's your favorite
Mr.
episode?
Spock was my favorite character.
Love it. And what's favorite episode? This guy is
Let
going
me
to hate
see.
me.
There was a lot of good. My favorite Star Trek movie was the one with the whales.
Yes,
Yeah, I really
mine
liked
too.
that Star Trek movie.
And so sad that we lost Leonard Nimoy this year.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that you like to watch television. Do you like to go to the movies too?
Oh yes, I went and saw Gravity. There's certain movies that have to be seen in a theater, like
Yeah.
Gravity and Avatar.
Yes.
I wanted to see Inside Out in the theater. I really liked that movie.
What did you think of
I
that?
liked it. I think about how the emotions interact.
I gotta be honest, I had said after that I thought that it was gonna be a great tool for people to show kids on the autism spectrum about perspective taking,
Yeah.
about what it's like in other people's heads.
Well, no, it's more like how the emotions inside your own head sort of conflict with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I love The Wizard of Oz, and I love the idea of the ruby slippers. She had the way back home. She just didn't know she had it.
Yeah.
You see, and I think that's a metaphor for a lot of things. A lot of people have the ruby slippers, but they don't know they have them. They don't know they got the key that can open up the door to a lot of really great stuff.
So what would you say was your ruby slipper?
Well, I had, when some opportunities came up, like when I designed those dip vats, that was a major breakthrough for my business. And when the head of the feed yard came up to me and asked me if I'd do it, I said, give me 3 weeks. You know, a lot of people would have been too scared to walk through the door. Now this is pre-internet, and I knew it would take me 3 weeks to get some of the information I needed, especially on concrete reinforcement, to design the dip vats.
But you did it.
I did it. I was on the phone the next day to the USDA to get the drawings on the concrete reinforcement.
Wow. So I want to journey back to childhood for just a second and talk about friends, because a lot of times people ask about friends. Who was your best friend?
When I was in elementary school, one of my best friends was a girl named Eleanor. And she was the first girl in elementary school to get to take wood shop instead of cooking. And I was the second girl in our school to get to take wood shop. So we like to make stuff. It's all about making stuff. And I had good friends in high school. Even though I got bullied and teased, I got friends who shared interests. Riding horses together, doing electronics together, doing model rockets together, doing stuff together with other students.
So you found, like your mom says about, you found your tribe.
Yeah, and you've got to get them in doing things with other people.
And you did a lot of theater, and did you sing as a kid?
Yeah, I did. One of the problems I was singing is I couldn't synchronize my rhythm with somebody else's rhythm.
Do you still have a hard time doing that?
I still have a hard time doing that.
Because we were going to ask you if you wanted to sing something in the car with us.
Well, I think maybe we'll skip that.
Great question. But the one question people always ask us is they want to know if you've ever been in love.
No, never have.
And you don't feel like you're missing anything.
I've seen so much turmoil in so many marriages that I haven't really seen a situation that would be a good model.
And yet you gave me really good marriage advice.
Because I'm a good problem solver. You have to take the problem and cut it down. And in engineering, you have to find the root cause of a problem.
What do you think is your secret to your success as a teacher?
Well, presenting things really clearly.
Yeah.
That's really important. Making things interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's also important that it's something in a class that a student can take home and use. I teach a class in cattle behavior and handling, and I've got a lot of students that are pre-vet that are going to go in the dog and cat. Probably won't be handling any cattle. But I said, you want to design this corral system because it's visual problem solving. You have to figure out how to do it. It's not a cookbook. And then I have my internet project where they can pick out anything in animal behavior, and I make them dig into a narrow subject that I have to approve because I want them digging into Google Scholar and PubMed, Science Direct, and the other databases. They got to learn how to find stuff online, and I'm finding about 2/3 of the students are not very good at that. How about this? Make Magazine. This is the kind of thing that a lot of kids on the spectrum need to be doing. The cool stuff in here. Really
Make Magazine is going to love that you
Make
did that.
Magazine. It's a wonderful magazine. And I'm okay. Yes, and they're resurrecting old satellites from mission control and an abandoned McDonald's. That's the kind of stuff I really like. These are the kind of magazines we need to get in school. Make Magazine, Business Week, Science, Nature, Wired. We got to show kids out there. There's all kinds of super interesting stuff out there. But if they don't see it, then they don't know about it. I like to geek out on construction sites. I like to salivate over all the equipment they've got that we didn't have, like really cool man lifts and nice scaffolding. We didn't have any of that stuff.
You didn't?
No, we didn't.
What did you guys have? A
Horrid,
compass?
Horrid ladders that were really dangerous is what we had.
I'm going to pull up right here. We're going to get your stuff out. Yep. Put your back up. Oh. We have to get the mic back from you too. Oh, you took it off already. You're good. That's attached to mine. So here we go. Let's motor through this. Top 10 tips for reducing stress in the morning routine. This is a parent-to-parent discussion. Okay. First, I forgot. First, I want to say why. Because it sets everybody up for success, you and everybody else in the house. There's only one day we get. We never get to relive this day again, so we might as well make it really good, right?
our kids are worth it, and we're worth it. That's why, okay? We're going to come back to that. Number 1, streamline breakfast and lunch. I'm going the opposite way here. Streamline breakfast and lunch so that it's easier for you. Number 2, create a positive get out of bed moment. We're going to have fun talking about this in a second. Number 3, streamline dressing. This is where I totally messed it up this morning. Okay, number 4, put on your oxygen mask first. All right, number 5, pack the night before. I also blew that this morning. Number 6, use visual schedules and prompts. We're going to talk extensively about this. Number 7, praise, 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 praise. It is probably the most important thing for making the more, and it's praise for yourself too, right? We're going to talk about this. Number 8, create pleasant leaving moments. This is where a lot of us kind of, we're too tired by this point. We don't get this done, so we're going to lock this in. Number 9, model breathing. Not that this is a model that she's breathing. We need to model breathing for our kids. If we can't do it for ourselves, let's do it as a modeling exercise to show them what it looks like when somebody is breathing to get ready or get out the door. Number 10, send them off with love. This is probably one of the most important things to me that is overriding, capturing the whole thing, because when you think about, you're going to take your child and take them somewhere. Now, it might be that you're taking them down the hallway to a therapist because they're going to be working at home with a therapist, or it might be that you're taking them next door to grandma's, or it could be that you're driving them across town to take them to school, or it could be, in my case, that you're driving them across town to get them to college. But we're sending the people that we love the most on this planet, the people that we want to protect and be an ally to the most on the planet, away from us, and that we need to make sure that we are setting them up to go into their day with the best possible feeling. I think you'll find that if we do that, then we'll also be setting ourselves up for the best possible day.
The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
Welcome back. It's hour 44.
It is hour 44.
Did any of us really think that we could get here? Because I'm too numb to know. But I do want to acknowledge that Judy said, wow, I wish all this information was available back in the day. This is why Autism Alive is #1. Oh. Jill Craterhart, my dear friend Jill Craterhart, and her wonderful daughter, who I love so much. She said, what an amazing feat. Congratulations, Shannon, Doreen, Traven, and everyone involved. Thank you so much. We can't wait to do more interviews with Spencer, her daughter Spencer, who we talked about earlier this morning, and about how she has sung at the White House twice. What an amazing light. And Joanne says, hour 44, woohoo. So here's the deal. I'm not even going to look to see, where we are number-wise, but I'm going to trust that you guys have done the numbers and that you're going to continue to donate. And we are going to, do you want to?
We want to go past the 5,000
We
now,
do.
so please.
We do, because remember that it is for a good cause. So if you're at all enjoying this, if you got anything out of these 44 hours and you want to pay it forward, give $1, give $5.
Yeah, I'm
we get there
afraid to
together.
say, oh, we hit 5,000 and then people will stop. So
No.
please keep going.
Yes, please keep going, because that's more iPads in more people's hands, and we want them to have that. We've got Stephen Shore that's available. Do we want to go to him first, or do you want to start buzzing first?
Well, we can bring Stephen on, and I can start getting ready.
All right. So Dr. Stephen Shore, he was scheduled to be in hour 4. He's an author, a speaker, a professor of special education at Adelphi University. Dr. Shore was diagnosed on the spectrum as a young child at a time in which it was recommended to his parents that he be institutionalized.
Wow.
Which is shocking, right? Thankfully, that was not the path they chose, and we have all benefited from his research, his writings, and his teachings, many teachings. His books include College for Students with Disabilities, Understanding Autism for Dummies, Living Along the Autism Spectrum, Beyond the Wall, and a very important one, Ask and Tell, Self-Advocacy and Disclosure for People on the Autism Spectrum. He is the person who is credited as saying, when you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism.
Correct.
We both love him.
Yeah,
I know you guys
absolutely.
love him too. So let's welcome Dr. Stephen Shore back to the program. He's there.
All right, great to be here.
Oh,
Hi,
Dr.
Stephen.
Shore.
How are
Hi.
you?
Good, good. How are you? 20 hours later, here we are.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, slightly more than that, because you were scheduled to be on hour 4, so it's actually 40 hours later, Dr. Shore. 40
40
hours.
hours. Okay.
But we're absolutely thrilled. I wanted to jump in and start with the obvious question about the new CDC numbers, the 1 in 36. And we'd love to hear your reaction to when the new numbers came out.
Well, my reaction is that if the numbers keep going up the way they have been, within the next generation, there's going to be more of us autistic people than not. So we're taking over.
That's awesome. I love
That's
the way.
the best way to look at it.
And I think what it means is that with this greater awareness of autism, brings to mind what I refer to as the 4 A's of autism. And that first A is awareness. And we've been at awareness for over a generation now, from when autism was thought to be a very rare psychiatric condition, 1 in 10,000, caused by poor parenting, particularly poor mothering. Then thankfully thankfully we now realize that to Bernard Rimland initially, who realized, well, maybe the only thing that mothers had to do with autism or causing autism might be the contribution of some genetic material, but certainly we know there's nothing we can do to cause it or to prevent it. Now that said, we're now edging up to about 3% of the population. And all of this awareness brings us to the next level, which is acceptance. That's the second stage. And we're hearing that when we hear people talk about Autism Acceptance Month. And acceptance is when we realize that once autistic, you're always autistic. It's a lifelong condition. And this is something that we need to work with as opposed to against. So an example I might have is, let's say in grade school, we have a elementary school child who is not motivated to do math, not motivated to do mathematics. They're not very good at it. And we're at a loss as to how to get this child to meet their math goals. So typically what will happen is we'll take a look at, well, what is interesting to the child? It's called an interest inventory. And what we find is perhaps the most interesting thing to the child is using a computerized flight simulator. And that's what the child does when they go home. They'll spend hours on this simulator. And what I'm seeing more of is a transition away from, okay, now we understand what the flight simulator means to the child. It's a very powerful reinforcer. And in order to gain access to the flight simulator, you need to meet your goals in math. However, that's working against the characteristics of autism, one of them being highly specialized interests and skills. And what I'm seeing more educators doing now, which is very encouraging, is that they'll recognize this characteristic of autism and put together a plan to teach mathematics using a flight simulator.
Yeah.
And in that way, mathematics now becomes intrinsically reinforcing as opposed to extrinsically reinforcing. So, or I should say the flight simulator, we're using it directly in the learning of mathematics. Mathematics now becomes more interesting. And at some point, the child will learn that if they understand mathematics, they'll be able to use the flight simulator even better. So that's an example of accepting and working with the characteristics of autism. That the third A is what I call appreciation. And I look forward to when we evolve to Autism Appreciation Month. And that's where we see autistic people being valued for what we contribute to society. And we began to see this with large IT companies who recognize that some of us autistic people can engage in computerized geekery at levels that nobody else can. And we're seeing companies such as SAP, Microsoft, Apple, Google, and others actively seeking autistic individuals as their employees, making needed accommodations because they realize that the great contributions we can make, and it's actually a good business decision. It's not a charitable decision, but a business decision. And with the increasing recognition of autism, what that suggests is that we need to take advantage of, we need to make use of the skills that many of us autistic people can bring to the community. Now that said, in talking about autistic computerized geekery, my question always is right after that is, what about everybody else? What about those of us who have skills in other areas, such as the arts or in literacy, or perhaps in gymnastics, whatever it might be? Because in fact, only a small minority of us are computer geeks. A big enough group for people to notice and for it sort of become a stereotype. But the large majority of everybody else are involved in other things. And included in everybody else is, or I should say, are those individuals who need more support. Because there are those of us who, with some education, some training, and likewise for related supervisors and business managers, we can pretty much get along on our own in an employment situation. But what about someone who perhaps needs support in terms of communication, managing their schedule, transportation, social interaction? And that brings to mind a fellow I know of in Florida who likes to do nothing more than fold laundry, folding it perfectly, making sure the creases are perfect. And he would love to help you do your laundry too. And he'd be the first one on a plane to go wherever you are to help you with your laundry, but you have to pay him to do it. That is his job. And he spends hours every day in a hot laundromat, pulling clothes out of a dryer, folding them faster and better than anybody else. And this is an example of where, because this person is autistic, he outperforms his typical coworkers. And given the widely varying skill set that we see in autism, that even makes it more imperative to determine what those abilities are and to work with them. So in other words, transitioning to an abilities-based way of thinking about autism. What can the autistic person do? Certainly there's many challenges to being autistic. I've had and have plenty of them myself. And this greater awareness also helps with research into various strategies and supports and interventions so that we can access our strengths.
Very well said, Stephen. Very well said. I feel like some of the stuff that you were saying would even be wonderful if we could do it for the neurotypical population, you know, and people, and just really focusing on the things that are rewarding in and of themselves, And because you look at, when we're adults, and those of us who are lucky enough to have found the careers that we love and enjoy, we just never stop. And you're absolutely right. I remember a young man who I worked with, and he loved matching things, right? His thing was pairing things, and that would reduce his anxiety. And when he got a job finding pairs of shoes that go together at Goodwill, he couldn't be happier that he could manage that so well, and it was one of the things that he loved and continued to do. You're so right about that.
Now, Dr. Shore, I don't know if you know that this is the final hour of our podcastathon, and we have promised that we were raising money for iPads to give away grants through Dr. Grant Pichet's charity, Autism Care Today. And we promised that if we raised a certain amount of money, that she would shave my head during this hour, which is going to take a few minutes. So I have to ask you either if you would like to stay as she begins to shave my head, and we'll continue to ask you questions, or if you need to go, because I know that you are a very busy man and that you have classes to teach. Which would you prefer in this moment?
Oh, well, let's multitask because there's so much to talk about.
Okay.
And,
Yay.
yeah, we'll go with the head shaving and the and continued discussion, just
Okay,
like in a
so-
barber shop. When
Exactly,
the
and
barber
don't we
talks
all long
So
to
we're gonna get
see-
started
She's going to
here.
get started here. I'm going to ask you the next question that I wanted to ask you, which is, what do you think are the biggest challenges right now facing adults on the autism spectrum in this current climate? Because next I want to talk about what can we do, all of us, to change that, and how we can be the best possible allies that we can be to adults on the spectrum.
All right, that's a very good question. First, I want to address something that Doreen said, which is very important. And that is when you commented, well, we should be doing this for neurotypicals as well, focusing on strengths. And that's absolutely right. And I've seen this both in education and in employment, in the work sphere. And that is whether it's a teacher or whether it's a supervisor, I often hear them describe how all the work they've done in learning how to set up a good environment, how to better communicate, how to better educate or work with their autistic either students or colleagues or workers, if they're a supervisor, it's made them better at teaching and supervising overall. So that was a very, very important thing, great validation of what I've been observing.
We'll give Dr. Grant Pichet a gold star for that one.
Yeah, we
She's
will
good.
give
We'll keep
Dr.
her
Grant Pichet
around.
a gold star. So anyways, on to your question, what is the biggest challenge facing autistic adults? There's many challenges facing autistic adults. And I think overall, in general, it involves what we're challenged with is meaningfully including autistic individuals and developing a sense of belonging for autistic individuals, be it in education, be it in employment. And this brings to mind, speaking of inclusion of autistic adults, some participatory research that I've been involved in. About 4 or 5 years ago, Teal Benavides and I proposed to the Patient Care Outcome Research Institute a study where we would involve autistic people directly in asking the question, what is the most challenging healthcare issue facing autistic individuals? So in doing so, and we were given this award, we assembled a core team that was half autistic, half non-autistic. And we did this just to show that autistic people could also be inclusive of non-autistic individuals. And then secondly, we assembled a community council of mostly autistic individuals some other organizations such as Autism Speaks, the Boston Higashi School, and I think one or two others. And we let this community council drive the research. How are we going to answer this question? What is the most challenging healthcare issue facing autistic individuals? Well, 2 conferences, a number of surveys, and a bunch of focus groups later, after 2 years, we got our answer. And what is most on the minds of autistic individuals is access to mental health supports. And we only would have gotten this answer by asking autistic individuals, because as my colleague, my co-lead on this project, as we discussed, we could probably ask a number of doctors and other helping professionals and maybe get an answer such as obesity or something else. And so access to mental health care, that was a very pleasant surprise. We were even more surprised to find that that was validated by work that was done by Autistic in the United Kingdom. They asked the same question, did their research a little bit differently, but still put the autistic voice front and center. And they also came up with access to mental health as being the greatest challenge. And so the work continues, where this community council, now you might say it's become a thing, and is now involved in a $9.1 million another PCORI grant, where we are comparing 2 brief interventions in suicide prevention. Because on the line of mental health, suicide is one of the leading causes of death in autistic people. So what can we do to prevent that? And we're the first year into this grant. 4 years later, we'll tell you how we did, and we look forward to the results. And we have another grant that will be starting up soon, where we'll be involved in comparing cognitive behavioral therapy with mindfulness therapy. That hasn't even started yet. So we look forward to looking at that. And again, it's meaningful participation, otherwise known as participatory research, of autistic individuals involved to the extent of our interest and abilities in research.
We are hanging on your every word, Dr. Shore, and I hope that everybody understands we're not trying to be disrespectful to what you're saying. I think it's a fun visual of watching my head get shaved while you talk. But we're gonna.
It is a very curious
But
visual.
actually,
Yes.
I was going to ask Stephen if we could ask you to join us on an actual one of my shows or Autism Live shows, because your message is so important, and some of the things that you're saying right now, I really just want all of my viewers to hear, because this is a very unique perspective. People don't often talk about these things, and I feel like the end of our 44-hour promise that we made to people, and we're doing this because they were kind enough to make the donations that they did. I don't feel like they go together. I want to make sure that we give you the time to talk about these things without any kind of distraction, to be honest with you. So how do you feel about...
I'll be glad to come on your show at a later
We would
time.
love that. We would truly love that. It would be such an honor to have you for a full hour so that we can really discuss some of these things in detail.
Yeah, that'd be great. And given online communication and doing things like we're doing, we could transcend space and time. I travel a lot. Once the pandemic lifted, traveling rebounded. Must have been some pent-up demand.
Yeah.
And I've been traveling to a different country about twice a month. So once every 2 countries a month.
I don't know how you do that.
I don't either. I just get in the plane and let the plane do all the work.
Well,
so
we appreciate
Azerbaijan
you.
is the next port of call next week.
Wow. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you being so game to be here and allowing us to start this. But I think we're going to let you get back to your thing so that because I think she really wants to dig into my hair here. But
Okay,
but
you do that.
We're
And
gonna
to be
we're gonna
continued at another
really
time.
look forward to you being on to talk about all these things at length when we can really dig into that, because I agree with Dr. Grant-Pichet, what you're saying is important. But thank you for being with us during this very important hour, Dr. Shore.
Well, glad to do it.
All right,
Thank you so
take
much,
care.
Stephen. Be well. Safe travels.
Take care. Good to see you both again, and
You
thanks.
too.
Thank you.
Much love.
Much love.
I just adore him.
He's
Wonderful. I
awesome.
don't know what oh, my glasses are on the floor. It's okay. I'm gonna step on them. Okay, so if you're here, she's doing it. I have no idea what she's been doing with the clips, but
Oh, the back looks hilarious.
okay. Well,
We're gonna do a little
Here we
straight
go.
line.
What?
Love it.
There we go. I look like Bozo.
You know what's
the clown.
interesting is when I go this far, you have actually dark hair under there.
I really do have a lot of dark hair.
Which is
It,
interesting.
it is. I'm
Okay,
still
yeah.
a little peppered, but
Can we keep you at this level and take some pictures, which I love?
yes, absolutely.
Can we use them for blackmail in the future?
Yes, you absolutely can. But I'm impervious to the blackmail. Can we get Sarah or Marina in and take some pictures? Because it's pretty hilarious. This is a good look right
This
here.
is what happens
This
when
is-
you guys donate. You get this fun.
This is your reinforcer. Hey, by the way, I forgot to say that we are giving away Discovery Toy gift cards during this hour, 15 of them. So write in your comments right now. Every time you write in a comment, you'll be entered to win a gift card to Discovery Toys. It's a $25 gift certificate on their website. She's having too much fun doing this, you
I
guys.
just want to do it in a weird way.
Do it. You have fun. It's all going to go eventually, so do it in whatever way you want to.
Oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
But if Sarah or Marina, they might be busy. I don't know if somebody else is available to come in and take pictures. But I was talking about Discovery Toys, make great toys. It'll be a $25 gift certificate for their USA website that you can go to. Oh, Taj is going to take some pictures for us. Thank you. And it's not good on Amazon, not good at other retailers, just on the Discovery Toys USA website, but that is an amazing website. So every time you write in a question or a comment during this hour, if you haven't already won during the podcastathon, you will be entered to win another
I'm gonna leave this for a minute.
to win a gift card. And they make fantastic toys. Go to our toy.
She's a brave woman, right, Tasha? She's
It's
brave.
hilarious.
I'm now doing it with
I
my
wanna-
left hand. I just
oh,
want
it
you to
feels
know.
great. It feels very reinforcing. Oh, we've got ladies here taking pictures. Too much fun.
Oh my gosh. Yes. This is
So-
the best.
Be writing in your questions or comments. At the end, we're going to say who the winners are. I love this bucket that you've put over.
Yeah, it's so good, right? And look, you should see how much hair it's capturing. Look,
I can imagine.
Look at all this.
I know, that's
We can
what
make
was
a
the
wig.
Brillo bag.
we can make a wig.
I know. I grow lots of hair and I grow it really fast. What can I say?
such a brave woman.
I look like a weird version of Bozo.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. Especially with this thing, it's perfect.
Have I ever told you that I was on the Bozo show as a child? Not once, but twice.
Yeah, something having to do with your dad's job, right?
Well, my dad was Mr. Music on Romper Room.
There you
and
go.
So we were able to get tickets to go be on the Bozo show.
That's
so
amazing.
Twice as a child. I thought it was I was 4. And I thought it was the most amazing thing with all the lights and the cameras
Of
and
course,
Bozo.
I could
And so
imagine.
look, here we've come full circle. All the lights, the cameras, and Bozo. Here.
See, and now I'm cleaning up and doing, you know. Ooh, this is so much fun.
And it's a good time for me. You're being very dainty about
I'm
it.
trying to be careful with your ear.
Well, don't. I don't really think that it's possible with those clippers to do anything that
Any
would
kind
cut
of
me.
severe damage, you'd
No, I
be
don't
surprised.
think you can. And I had curly hair the whole time growing up. I still have curly hair. And if you ever grew up with curly hair, you know, your mom would have to comb your hair.
Yeah.
And I think it was before they realized you really can't do that with,
Look at all
you
this
really need to
hair.
be brushing it. So my scalp is dead. I have no feelings. So go
That's
for it.
incredible.
Yeah, because My mother, we would have the tears and the hysteria every morning as she tried to comb my hair.
Oh yeah,
'Cause
I
it
do
was too
remember that.
much. Do you have?
I had that too because well, I do have wavy hair.
Yeah.
But I went to a boarding school and you had to tie your hair back.
Oh.
And so before that, there was like a whole year I remember of my mom trying to put my hair in a very tight ponytail just so I'd get used to the sensation.
And was this in England?
England, when I was 4.
4 at boarding school.
I had to learn how to put my hair back in a ponytail.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
very
different
capable
era.
4-year-old.
Yeah, especially since I didn't speak English yet.
So you had to learn to speak English at the boarding school?
Yep.
The facts we are finding out
Oh
here.
yeah, it was interesting for sure.
Amazing. I think I had only met you maybe once or twice when you invited me to come and cover, because I used to do the Everyday Autism Miracles radio show. And you invited me to come and cover the 20th anniversary after,
my gosh.
after you had founded CARD. And so I came to that. And I was seated at a table with a bunch of your schoolmates.
Oh,
And,
from UCLA.
and they were telling stories about, if you're going to shave my head, I get to tell stories about you.
Yes.
But the thing that was fascinating to me is that they said that, you guys were young, healthy people who, at a time when there was a lot of fun things happening in clubs and a lot of fun bands. And so they would always say, come on, go out. And you would say, no, I've got a test tomorrow. And they would say, no, come out with us. So you'd all go out and you'd be out on the dance floor dancing away, and they would turn around and they'd say, where did Doreen go? And they would find you underneath the table studying with the book, studying for the test.
Yes.
And they said, it was hilarious to them at the time, but they said, look at her now. Look at who she's gone on to be. Look at how many people she's helped around the world. And that they were very respectful of the fact that you would dance
kind.
and then get back under the table with your book.
Because we were all friends from undergraduate years, and then I was now in grad school, and they didn't care anymore. They didn't have to study. I did. So yeah, all of my friends, and actually we're in contact, and I just wish them all a happy Passover, because Passover was yesterday.
Okay, is there anybody who doesn't think that my hair looks better like this?
You don't always look gorgeous, but I do love it when you have, and I'm not gonna like shave down, should I?
I mean, you can. We have the razors and we have the shaving cream.
I'm like nervous about hurting you.
Well, as I said,
This is
I don't have any
pretty
feelings.
amazing.
It is very amazing. It already feels much cooler, everybody.
Well, we have time. I might go for it.
And you can. I think you should make little shaving cream designs on my head now.
Oh my gosh.
It's a very freeing thing here.
Was it?
It is. It's a very freeing thing. If you've never shaved your heads, I will say that, we did this once before, almost 10 years ago to the day.
Yeah.
And we did a whole campaign for April that was called Campation. I can't even speak. I have no ability to speak left anymore. 44 hours. Compassion. That's the word I'm looking for. Compassion in action.
Yeah.
And our supposition was we're asking for people to provide compassion to the autism community, but then that means that we have to provide compassion to other people. And a few months before, what had happened was my mom, who was a wonderful person and my inspiration for a lot of things, she passed away. And I was kind of bummed about that. It was December, so it was, supposed to be, the holidays. And about 5 days, I love it. Now I think you need, yes, a matching one. I need horns. About 5 days after my mother passed away, the new town, look at that. The new,
Sorry.
hysterical.
I love you, Shannon.
But
you
go
know
for
this
it.
is all out of love.
Yeah, no, I go for it.
Oh yeah, we need
Yes,
another
more
picture
pictures,
of
yes.
this phase.
But there was this horrible tragedy that happened. Newtown happened, and I something for that. There we go. It was very much in my soul during that week. I was like, please, what can I get a gift basket for somebody? What can I do to help somebody? And it was brought to my attention that there was a dad who had brain cancer that he was asking people in his church, he was having to shave his head and he was asking for people to shave their heads. A bunch of men in his church said they would shave their heads, but not a single woman said that she would shave her head. And I said, that's what I want to do. And so I did ultimately, it took some while for us to arrange it, but I did ultimately shave my head to support that dad. And, you know, we had a good time with it then, but can I tell you that the most amazing thing happened afterwards? Because I didn't know this man. But after we were done and we went off the air, he called me.
Oh.
And we had, I think, one of the most important conversations that I've ever had in my life with somebody that wasn't a coworker or my family. And he said, you know, thank you, I feel seen. I'm going through this really devastating thing, and the fact that you would do this for me, I see you're like, where do I
I'm
wipe
like,
it
I
off?
need a paper towel or a tissue. I'll figure it out.
Okay. But anyway, it was a wonderful thing, a freeing thing for me to say I'm going to take something that's been hard and I'm going to turn it around and do something for somebody else.
Absolutely.
I tell you guys this story because you have that option right now too. The whole reason why we're doing this today is to raise funds for iPads. So, because there are people who need functional communication and they need it in the form of iPads. They've already applied for the grants. They've already, there are people that we've identified that have said, we need an iPad for a loved one who's on the spectrum for them to be able to communicate, and we want to be able to fulfill as many of those grants as we can. You can toss it if you want.
Thank you so much.
And that's,
Very
in
helpful.
fact, why we're doing this very fun and hilarious and funny thing.
That's right.
I am, now, Autism Journey with Elijah said if I shaved my head, she would too. I'm not going to hold you to that. You don't have to. But if you want to, you can. People are screaming online. Denise LaForest-Ryan is there. Trisha Allen says, I look like Bob now. Bob was here with Trisha this morning, and we said I'm going to be...
do you see what she has me doing? This is my
Oh,
life.
it's such a hardship for you. You're loving it. They're giving me tips now. Sandalwood paste helps close pores and works like antiseptic, but it will make you feel cold, so watch out. Okay. Parker says, bald, 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 my eyes, my eyes.
That's hilarious.
Parker, I think at one point we talked about the fact that you might like to do stand-up comedy. I would like to spend some time with you, maybe working up 5 minutes for you to do for stand-up comedy, because I think you are hilarious, sir. I think that would be really, really fun. And Judy says, come on, Doreen, wipe it on the black dress. It's actually an apron. When we decided that we were going to do this, she ordered this bucket
I went all
thing,
out.
and she ordered that apron for her. Denise says, I love this is happening again. It's too much fun. Alicia has made the scream face, the Van Monk scream face.
Right.
Judy says we should have carved the numbers 44 and Autism Live in there.
That's a great idea.
That would have taken a lot of planning. I don't know that we could have.
And expertise, which I don't have.
And it's Srinikath who says, you look cool, Shannon. And back in India, we apply sandalwood paste when we shave our heads. Nava says, Eddie and I are watching. Eddie, how are you, my friend? I miss you. I haven't seen you in a long time. I got to make you some ziti sometime soon. I have a gluten-free, dairy-free ziti recipe that's vegan.
Ooh.
And it's really good.
That
And
sounds
Eddie will tell you
amazing.
it's one of his favorite things. So I like to make ziti for Eddie. We should do that recipe sometime here on the show. Or Nava, sometime because you have that big, beautiful kitchen over at the center, we'd love to come over and make a video in your kitchen of how to make the ziti. Because I got to tell you guys, if you're having a party, I make a big, big tray of this ziti, and people will come and they'll eat it and they'll say, oh, I'm being so bad, I'm trying to not do gluten. And we say, oh no, it's gluten-free. And they go, oh, but it's got all this cheese in it, and I'm supposed to be dairy-free, or I'm lactose intolerant. We go, no, it's vegan cheese. And they lose their minds because it actually tastes pretty good.
How are you feeling, Shannon?
It feels good. It feels good. Liliana says that I look beautiful. Thank you. And Alicia said that as well. They're saying kudos for up to 44 and the 5,000. And so many comments now. That's good because people want to win one of those gift certificates from Discovery Toys. Eric says, I've been here since hour 4. I have high functioning autism, ADD, ADHD, SPD, sensory processing disorder, depression, OCD, anxiety, and stress. I'm
my
36 and in Culver City, California, SoCal. I've been active. And you have been here, Eric. I have seen you. And so in addition to all those things, you now have sleep deprivation because you have been here for 44
bless
hours.
you for
But
being
bless
with
you
us.
for being here. I hope that when this is over, you are also going to get rest. Also, I love Parker says, my eyes are burning. Judy says, look at Dr. Doreen, she's loving it.
I'm just going at
that you're
this now.
thinking
I'm
about
like,
all
this
the
is my next
iPads.
profession, let me tell you.
There we go. Liliana says, we need the link to donate, please, loving it. If there's
thank
any way,
you.
Traven, you can put it up on the screen. It is givebutter.com/iPad challenge. And hopefully Traven's going to be able to put that up there. May says, so happy you raised the funds. Tom Island says, thank you very much for having me and Rosetta Walker, Queen of Inspiration, on today. What a great Matt Asner said, does it feel drafty? Yes, especially with the shaving cream, there is a very cool
Matt
Tacole.
Nava, next time you're doing this. I'm so anxious right now. I just don't want to hurt you.
Jerry says, crazy ending. I love this. I love this so much. Denise says, I missed it. Did you get the $5,000? I'm not sure, Denise. I think you better donate. I'm not sure that we got it, so it's up to you.
We're not telling anyone yet.
Yeah, we're not telling
Denise.
anybody. Vidya says, a great initiative for a great cause. Thanks for doing the podcastathon. Rosetta Walker, who is the Queen of Inspiration, which, what a great moniker, right? I want to come up with something. I want to be the queen of something. And not have it be the queen of bald heads. Vidya says, no. So Rosetta said, Shannon Penrod, thank you for all you do. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. Love you. Awesomeness. My husband said, you look like me with all the hair on the sides. The teaching lady says she's having a lot of fun shaving her head. Well, what else would you do? Okay. I have to call.
Don't worry, I won't suddenly cut you. I'm being very, very cautious here.
Okay. Yaima says, yeah. You did it. Awesome work. Thank you so much for this amazing 44 hours. It was amazing, right? I'd love it if you guys start writing in. And I have all those videos, Judy. Believe me, we're going to trot some videos out in the next coming days. Hi, the teaching lady. So thrilled that you're here. And Parker, did you do a SpongeBob? I missed some of the comments that you guys wrote in. Mike said about Stephen Shore that he needs to come back. Wasn't he inspirational?
Yeah.
Really wonderful, and we will have him back. I'm so glad he
Great
was here for this.
speaker.
Well, he cuts right to the heart of it, right? And
Yep,
you're hearing
absolutely.
it right from, the source. And so that's amazing. Absolutely love that. Looking here for, I love Parker. I love your bald, my eyes. Mike Hipple says, in 4th grade, I had a hot girlfriend from the United Kingdom, and she was so beautiful. Never knew that you were living in the United Kingdom as a kid, Dr. Grandpichet. So how wonderful.
Yeah. Right, that's where I learned English and grew up. Loved England.
The teaching lady says, I wonder if my little guy would find that gray thing comforting when I shave his head. This thing.
Yeah.
Because it's not falling on my neck, you guys.
Yeah.
So,
It's a pretty cool thing.
it does now feel like you are scraping, is like dead skin coming off.
No, I'm trying
okay.
to get all the hair, but I
Okay.
will stop soon.
Okay.
Am I
Parker's.
making you nervous?
No, not at all. But it does. It feels like I'm trying to describe what it feels like. It feels, I don't know, like when you get your skin scraped.
Yeah.
What do they call that?
I don't know.
A chemical peel.
Never had my skin, actually.
And Denise says, I did donate. Good. Parker says, I'm the queen of being Jem's mom. But Parker, if you ask Jem would not say that. Eric says, I've had sleep since the live. I had bad insomnia and I stay up late. I'm so glad you were with us, though, Parker. Eric, it was so great to have you there. Parker says, yes, my eyes thing is from the first SpongeBob movie. Oh, my eyes, I get it. I'm telling you, you got to go into stand-up, Parker. Autism Journey with Elijah says the lineup for the 44 hours was incredible. I just loved it. Okay, the teaching lady says it's exfoliating. That's what it feels like.
Oh, right.
And I dropped all my questions on the floor. So here we are, you guys, and we're in the last 8 or so minutes of this. I'd like to pause for a second here because I want to say that the woman who is dutifully wiping my head down is going to have a birthday in just a couple of days.
A big birthday.
A big birthday. And we were trying to put together a small video. There are a couple of people that would have loved to have been here. Some people who you've
that's
been
so
very
kind.
important in their lives.
Now
So
you're going to make me emotional
we're gonna-
after I've
yes.
been having so much fun.
That feels so good. It's cold and good. It's like, put me to bed now. Change my diaper and put me to bed. But let's take a look. There are some birthday messages for Dr. Grandpichet that she's going to need to watch. Take a
That's
look.
amazing.
Happy birthday, Doreen. I just want to say thank you so much for all the work you've done over the past years, and I just want to remind you that you have touched a bunch of lives, and I don't think you're told that much. I don't think you're aware of how many lives you have personally affected and changed for the better. And I want to thank you for that. So, thank you so much and have a very happy birthday.
Hi Doreen, I want to wish you a happy birthday. I've just got home from work. I'm enjoying a nice whiskey, a nice scotch here, and you know, Ilana and I hold you in such high regard. Many people forget in their lives when somebody's been nice to them. As the years go by, they forget how nice a person was, and we will never forget how nice you've been to us our entire lives. Through our hardest times, you were there for us. We'll never forget you. Anything we can do for you, nothing's too much. We want to wish you a really happy birthday. Cheers.
Happy birthday, Doreen. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Doreen. Happy birthday to you.
Hello, Doreen. I hear it's your birthday today. Just wanted to wish you a happy birthday because it's been a long time coming, and I'm so grateful that I was able to get to know you, and thank you for all the services and support that I've been able to have, because it's changed me in ways that I can't describe. But when I was little, I used to view cars like this, and it was, you know, it was my imagination working when I was young. But nowadays, it's changed tremendously because I have a love for wanting to become an architect and doing a lot of other crazy things I never would imagine I would be able to do at this age, back when I was 3 years old. So I just want to say thank you so much, because you have helped me along the way. And it's been a long time, so thank you for enduring it too, because it's been years. But I just wanted to say thank you, and I wish you a happy birthday.
Dear Doreen, to us, you've been an angel. You've been God sent. I came to you, and the first time we spoke, I remember clearly I was hopeless. I was made feel hopeless. But the minute when I started talking to you, you gave me hope. You told me something could be done about our son. And at this point, 20 years later, I cannot even picture what would have happened if you wouldn't have been there. Thank you so, so much, and happy birthday.
Hi, happy birthday, Doreen. How are you? I'm Rebecca, and this is Ethan. And I want to thank you so much. Ethan was seen by you when he was 2 years old, and you said he would recover by the age of 6. And here's Ethan today. And Ethan.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm very grateful for everything.
It's amazing. And honestly, whenever I think of that process, I think of you and your words, and I want to wish you the happiest birthday ever, and we're forever grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Hi, Doreen. Briar Rose and I just wanted to wish you a very happy birthday and are sending you lots of love. Congratulations on the milestone, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.
And of course, there were so many.
you and for you to have a sense of how many lives you have changed.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, we're echoing in here. Thank you, Traven. Oh my gosh, that was so emotional. That's amazing. I don't even know how you found my kids all over the world. What is that?
So, happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Happy
Wow.
birthday to you.
This is so nice. Thank you, everyone.
Dear Doreen.
I'll make a wish for autism.
Birthday to you and many more, please.
Yay! Thank you, guys. Thank you. You know, I gotta say, like, first of all, thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Shannon, it's amazing. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, this is, so what a wonderful, wonderful thing you did for me today. Thank you so much, because my birthday, as you know, is on Monday, and I will say it's my 60th, so it's a big birthday. And I'm not actually getting to celebrate it because I'm having a back surgery procedure that morning, but this was so meaningful for me, not just because we got to celebrate my birthday with you, but finding my kids out there in the world. Oh my God.
That like time constraints didn't allow them. There were so many more who were like, yes, I want to make a video, so there might be videos down the road. But for someone like you who has devoted your life, I'm going to get so emotional.
I know, me too.
That you've devoted your life to help so many of us.
It's such a...
And the kids and the teens.
Traven, did you say something to us?
Oh my goodness, is my mic... My mic has gone somewhere. Oh dear, I'm speaking and you guys can't hear me. I was saying that for you to have devoted so much of your life, really, your life.
Yeah, my life, honestly.
To us, the parents, and to our kids, to help them to lead their best lives. And you have changed certainly my life, my son's life, but so many other people's lives.
Thank you.
The outpouring of people who wanted us to make sure that we wished you a happy birthday. I hope that you guys, yes, they are all wishing you a very happy birthday.
Thank you.
None of us believe that it's 60. Come on now.
60. But I have to say, like, honestly, it's such a pleasure for me, and I would, if I had to live my life all over again, I wouldn't change a single thing. I'm so blessed to have been, have just been welcomed into this community and to have been treated as one with parents. You know, parents are so kind to me in the sense that they trust me, they teach me, the kids teach me so much. You put up some of my favorite kids who are adults who have taught me so much about autism. This is kind of like why I was in love with Kobe the other day. I was like, we learned so much just listening. But just to see their beautiful faces all over the world doing amazing things, and just to remember, it's just like I'm filled with joy and goosebumps and all of this, and just to remember them when they were little, you know, and the anguish and the fears that the parents would come with. And I'm just so grateful to God and the universe for allowing me to kind of be in this position. It's such a blessing.
Well, one of the things that my kid said, and I don't know if he kept it in, because he actually edited the videos together for me, but in one of the takes that he did, I don't know if it was the one that he kept in, one of the things he said was, I hope you feel it, the difference that you have made.
Yeah.
How much it means to so many. And I thought, oh, that's exactly how I feel. I hope you feel it.
Thank you.
Because we feel it.
Thank you,
and we
Shannon.
want you to feel it. That, you know, your life has mattered to so many of us.
Thank you so much.
And it continues to. So
I will do everything I can to continue to just support and give help and do whatever I can for this community. It's the community that I admire so much, and I've learned so much from the strength of the families that I've met and from the strength of the kids. You know, I enjoyed how today Stephen was saying, and I think so many of our kids say that too. Yeah. Nick said that to me as well, but Stephen said something like, there are plenty of challenges.
Yeah.
You know, and I always think that challenges in life are the things that teach us and get us stronger. And I can only just imagining our kids and what they go through life and the incredible people they become. This is the most amazing part of it, you know.
Yes.
And I'm the first to say, yes, we need to accept. But I just like when I look at these children and like what they have overcome and how they've learned to shine in this world.
Yes.
It just blows me away. It's incredible. Thank you so much. Honestly,
you so
it was
much.
so meaningful.
So look at this. We have done the 44 hours. We've actually crested into the 45th. We're not going to stay on for 45 hours because
you need some sleep.
Oh my gosh, do I need some sleep? I actually, because of that thing that you bought, because I thought, I'm sensory with the little hairs. It'll drive me crazy, but I don't think you left me a little hair.
No, it's good.
It's very interesting. Thank you so much for the clean shave.
Thank you very much for
appreciate
letting
it.
me.
It was very enjoyable, I think, for both of us.
It was
Weirdly.
lovely.
There we go. So I want to take a second to thank all of you who tuned in. Oh, we have to get the winners. Oh my goodness.
And I just want to quickly thank Traven, of course, and Casey, who was backup and overnight.
Yes.
As well as Sarah, who put in a lot of hours, Marina, who was overnight, Nika, who came here several times and was very, very helpful, all of our team of people, and Tasha even, who came to support Traven.
Yes.
And we're all just in it together, and it's been so much fun, and all the folks who came and hosted. We're very grateful for you for taking over some of the time. It was beautiful to see Martin in there as well. And like they, of course, did the overnight, and it's been such a warm, wonderful experience.
So we have 15 winners of the Discovery Toys. I'm going to read those off. You still need to email me, Shannon at Autism-Live, to get your $25 gift certificate. So in this hour, we have June Brady, Rosetta Walker, Tresha Allen, Nancy Allspot Jackson, Vidya Banerjee, Rhoda Gardner Dizoni, I'm sorry for slaughtering your names, Jerry Salerno, The Teaching Lady, Bob DeMarco, Liliana Jimenez de Gesso, Denise LaForce Rhine, Faith Weber, Tom Island, Edmund Haynes, and Jill Crater Hart. You've all won $25 gift cards to Discovery Toys on their U.S. site. It can only be used there. If you will email me, then I will have your addresses. They've written in so many birthday comments that I want you to take a minute to see, and talking about how amazing you are.
See that.
I want you to see, because it's the outpouring of love for you is so
Thank you so much, everyone.
amazing.
You know, and I just want to say, like, sorry to interrupt you, but
No, go
thank
ahead.
you so much to all of our viewers. The one thing we ask of you is to spread our voice and to tell as many people as you can to tune into our shows and also to our social media presence, because for me, the only way that I can reach the community now is through the show or through social media, and I really want to be able to do that, as well as, of course, write and publish, but it's just as much help as you can give us in getting our viewership up. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let's keep us on the air to be able to do these kinds of things more in the future. It really was a remarkable thing for us to partner with so many people. And I hope that the world watched in terms of the fact that the autism community can band together, can share information, and it was lovely to just host for it. You're pointing to something.
Parker, I think I heard your name on another day.
You absolutely won one, Parker, the other day. So you might have stepped out when you missed it, but you absolutely won one the other day, like in the first couple of hours. So I know that for a fact. I remember reading your name. So despair not. You have one of those coming to you. But amazing. I'm loving seeing your face as you're reading the different comments.
Yeah,
but
so
Parker,
nice.
you
Thank
absolutely
you.
have won. So fear not. Love all of you. I don't quite know how to end except to say that we will be back next week. And until then, give all of your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too.
We love
I
you
need to
all.
go lay
Thank you.
down. I'm
Yes,
maudlin.
and I need to hug you.
All right, goodbye, you guys.
Bye,
for now.
everyone.